Alright, kind of playing this by ear, but, so I'm Rico, and this is going to be a, pseudo tutorial, I want to say, for, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone on PS1 100%. Or if you're from the United States like me, then, you'll know it as Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So, I say pseudo tutorial because despite the fact that I have the 100% world record as of like a couple days before recording this, I'm actually pretty new to this game. I've only been running it for a few months. I just happened to find a bunch of like really big time saves in 100% that allowed me to get the world record. So I'm not gonna go into a lot of like super in-depth like minor time saves that you can learn over the course of running the game. That stuff you can see by like watching other top times. Like if you watch Whip, he's former record holder and has had it for several years before I got it. You'll probably learn a lot more like the more detailed stuff. You can also watch Raging Redneck's Any Percent tutorial or any of like the Any Percent runs, and even though it's a different category, you could probably pick up some of the stuff there as well. So the point of this tutorial is mostly just going to be going over the route, what you need for 100%, and just stuff like that, because the requirements for 100% have changed. Like the stuff I found was finding what is and isn't needed for 100%, and in doing that, the routing got changed enough that the current written guide from a couple years ago, I would say, is pretty outdated now. So I just wanted to do this to get through it. So yeah. I'm running on the US version. So I guess the first thing, like version differences and stuff. Fastest version of the game, to my knowledge, and if this is wrong, then I'm surprised because this is the version everybody runs on, is either the US or the Canadian version. The only difference between them is that the Canadian version is called Philosopher's Stone and the US version is called Sorcerer's Stone. You want to run it on a PS2 because PS2 has fast disk speed as an option. This is pretty standard for most PS1 games, I feel like. I think I've seen maybe one or two PS1 games that aren't optimal on PS2 with FDS. So if you want like the fastest possible times, you play on a US or like an NTSCU PS1. You play either version because you can play the US or the Canadian version, and you can run on emulator, but you will lose time to loads. So it's important. Before you start the run, you can like set up however you like this. I like to invert like all my controls and turn on vibration. That's personal preference. You don't have to do it, obviously. But yeah. You don't actually need a memory card for 100%. For the any percent route, you do need to make a save file, but for 100%, it doesn't matter. So yeah, we'll get into it. This is like a 2-minute cutscene at the very start, so this is a good time to just kind of explain what gives you 100%. So, with the stuff, like current knowledge we have now, 100% is obtaining all 17 wizard cards, getting all gold wings in all 3 of the Quidditch practice challenges, getting at least 300 house points total throughout the entire game, and triggering all like story relevant like loading screens. That one is a little bit more obscure as to like what load screens give percent. Most of the ones you run into across the entire story will give you percent. So as long as you don't do any major skips, you'll get most of the percent you need. The only ones that you could possibly miss would be the Quidditch practice, which if you're going for 100%, you won't miss because that's required. There's the portrait room, which all 4 of the portrait rooms are considered one room, so you only have to enter one of them. And one of them has a wizard card, so you enter that one anyway. So that one's not a big deal either. The one important one to remember is the Gryffindor common room. You can actually skip that and never enter the common room at any point during the run. But if you, after collecting a wizard card, you look at the Folio Magi when it asks, that puts you in the Gryffindor common room for that moment. and that's considered entering the common room, and it'll give you the 2%, and you can get 100% that way. You can technically get it after the credits, but since timing ends before the credits, we require that you look at it beforehand. Whether or not that changes in the future, I can't say, but for now, you have to look at the Folio Magi or enter the common room at least once before the end of the run. Alright. So the opening of this is very, very similar to any percent, so if you're familiar with any percent, this will all look pretty familiar. So you can skip cutscenes with square, obviously. So yeah, like I said, this is the beginning of this is pretty similar to any percent. You just head up the stairs and then head this way to go to the Gryffindor Tower. So here, I use analog for most of this game, but this is a trick that you can do where if you hold straight up on the D-pad, and then when Harry climbs up, you hold diagonal upright, and then like as he's landing, like it's hard to describe, but like with the right like diagonal movement and stuff, you can just jump really quickly to the Charms corridor. Let's see if I get it here. Yeah, something like that. And then here you just go to the library. Yeah, a lot of the beginning of the game is incredibly similar to any percent. So if you're familiar with any percent, this is all going to look very not new to you. The opening used to be a lot more different, like before we found out what is and isn't needed.
He's a nasty piece. Ask Griffin. Come on, Harry. Let's go. Follow me.
So here's like the first like small skip you can do. You have to collect these feathers to get to the next room. Hold on, my controller is doing a stupid thing that it does every once in a while where Harry just starts walking backwards. Okay, it should be fixed. So if you land on this next bookcase, then you'll trigger a cutscene with Ron where he'll say, look, there's another feather, and then he'll run back, and it's a couple of seconds. But if you jump off and then grab the edge, you actually dodge that cutscene, so we'll see if I get it. Yeah, just like that. So that's like how you're supposed to do it. I'll show you what happens if you like miss it and trigger the cutscene. So say like, just, yeah. So you just have to watch him run off like that. But yeah, as long as you like run off and then just kind of like curve and reach for the ledge, it's really not that difficult. I don't really have a setup on how to do it. I kind of just like eyeball it, I guess. It's really not a difficult skip. And then here, Nearly Headless Nick is going to talk to you. There are some times where after you skip all the dialogue with Nick, he'll just stand there for a couple seconds before you're able to do anything. There's really not too much you can do about that. It's random. So this staircase room is really long, and there are ways to make them faster that I'm not entirely good at, but if you like properly line up your like jumps. Oh, this thing is really poorly centered. Hold on. I think that might just be the... Let me see if I can just center the screen for the sake of this. Or maybe it's just this room. Yeah, it might just be this room that just... Oh, yeah. No, that was like me looking at something off to the side. Never mind. So yeah, if you like jump properly here, you can like land on top of this without Harry having to grab it. Yeah, there I went too far. Let's see if I can get like one as an example. Yeah, there's a good example of that, and that just skips the animation of Harry climbing up the like that. I think like on the left here, there's like a certain spot here where like Harry will climb up really quickly, and sometimes I'll go for that. Yeah, but either or, I think it loses like a second every time you don't do it. So there you can just jump in and just skip that entire section here. But yeah, there's a lot of them you can do in this area, and I'm not really good at all of them, so I'm just not gonna... I'll attempt like this one here. Yeah, if you mess it up, that can happen, so like, that's part of the reason I don't go for it. But if you want to go like absolute fastest, then yeah, you can do some of those like ledge skips. Okay, so I'm being really bad right now. Just, alright. We're just gonna go normally. Yeah, that's the quick get up that I was talking about. Or quicker get up. But yeah, if you just wanted to, if you really want to just like go up this way, normally it's probably like probably 5 to 10 seconds slower, if that. But you can save a fair bit of time here. That one I go for because it's pretty easy. So yeah. So this is where you get Flipendo. There really isn't a lot to this room. You can completely dodge all of these snails. So you just like run across the wall here, and grab this feather, and then grab this feather. Alright, so this next room, you want to push this Flipendo block twice. And then you can, if you grab it on the side, you might be able to climb up before it's done moving, but you can just do a jump. Well, don't do that. You can jump off of this and then curve to the right and just grab the ledge like this, and it saves having to push it one extra one. So here's like the one thing that I do differently from any percent. So there's a rat over here, and you can just like snipe him with a Flipendo, and it's a free 10 points. And since house points are important, it's just nice to go for. You only need 300, but I like to get a little more just so to be on like the safe side of things. And like that's a really easy set of house points to get. So this room, you push that Flipendo block once. You can get another like get up skip here if you. Yeah, I'll try it again. Yeah. This is another one I kind of like eyeball, but like if you're like the right amount of distance away, you can make this without getting a climb. Alright, I'll try it like one more time. I lied, I'll try it one more time. There we go. And then you can just jump this way and then jump here. You can get a padlock skip here, or like if you like. Let's see. Oh hey, I got it. I just completely winged that. Alright, so this room, like, you have to hit these 3 books. I feel like there might be a little bit of like randomness to how they move, but yeah, you have to hit all 3 of them to get out of this room, and each one gives you 5 points, so it's a free 15 points also. It's funny because in any percent, you want to get as few house points as possible because they cost frames on like the house point hourglass cutscenes, but they're actually required for completion in 100%. So. And then here you just charge a Flipendo and then break this. Here I'm pretty sure you can just hold forward, and the moment Harry gains control, he'll just run right through the door. Yeah. And then here you just mash square to skip all the dialogue.
I see you. Hi. I'm nice to meet you. Come on, Harry.
And that's the tutorial or library. Most runners just call it tutorial. I call it library because it's labeled the library. Alright, so this is another like Ron dialogue skip. After you talk to Ron, he's gonna run towards the flying lesson room.
Wow! I'll show you where the.
So basically, if Ron gets ahead of you like this, he's gonna stand there, and if you like go directly towards him, he's gonna talk to you, and it costs a little bit of time. If you run along the wall around him, the dialogue won't trigger, and you can just go into the flying lesson without ever talking to him. If you get ahead of Ron when you're starting here, you can pull ahead enough where you can reach the door and open it before the dialogue triggers. I'm really bad at that, and I've gotten it exactly once, so I generally just kind of let him get ahead of me to do that. So you can just like, better than this, but you can just like run along the wall and then yeah. Alright, so flying lesson's pretty straightforward. You want to pass all of these before time runs out because each successful one gives you 10 points. And you hold X to move around on the broom. The hitboxes of the rings are mostly generous. Sometimes they're a little deceptive, but as long as you like hug the sides of these, you can save some time on like turning. But mostly these aren't really too difficult. They do take practice though. Like, when you're first trying these, you'll probably be a little rough at them, but just doing them gives you experience and you become better at them. So yeah, there's 3 phases of these. And basically the best that you can do is just like learn the route. Also, if you get close enough to Madden Hooch, she makes that noise, and it's the greatest sound effect in the entire game. Yeah, so this is a bit sloppy movement.
Well done.
Yeah, so if you don't succeed, like if you don't get all the rings before time runs out for any of these, you only get 5 points. That's part of the reason that I route more than 300 points into the run, because you can't retry this, and it's better just like keep going than having to have this be like a reset point. But honestly, when you get good enough, like failing this should never be like an actual threat. Oh, well, I missed a ring.
Well done, Pot.
And yeah,
now run along.
that's flying lesson.
Hi, Harry. No, I am not.
Just more dialogue skipping here.
Hello, Harry. She's rather...
Alright, so here you run up to the Charms class. You just kind of like hug the wall just for like movement optimization. Just skip. You can't skip that dialogue. So when you walk in here, if you run directly towards the door, you're gonna talk to this guy, and you don't want to talk to that guy. So you kind of just like run around him. My guideline is that like as long as you're not touching the carpet, you should be able to skip the dialogue. So like I kind of just run over here. But, you know, if you get like too close to him, then yeah. So you want to like run over this way. So if you know about the old 100% route, then you would know that you get every yellow bean in this little obstacle course to class, because for some reason Hogwarts has obstacle courses to get to class. That is different now. Now you just do this the 90% way, where you just jump along here. Don't do that, that's bad. And then you just jump to the end there.
You must be Harry. Welcome.
Alright.
Watch my walk complete. Now you try. Get ready.
Alright, so all the magic lessons are like this. It's just a game of Simon Says, or whatever you want to consider the equivalent. Simon Says, rhythm game, memorization game, Osu, I don't fucking know. Alright, that was actually really good that I got that, because that was a ghost input. Sometimes the first input of a phase will just like not move there, but it's still going, so you just have to like memorize the timing and just hit the button when you're supposed to. That just like comes with like getting used to like the muscle memory. I'll explain more about ghost inputs in a second, but here to get the fastest Wingardium Leviosa, you just want to hold left and then just like start pressing X, and Harry will just do Wingardium Leviosa.
Well done.
One thing that's important for ghost inputs is that if you get a ghost input on one of the magic lessons, the input will always be what the first input of the previous like phase was.
You can get to the top round.
So say like this is important in like Professor Sprout, where her second phase actually starts with square, but if you get a ghost input at the start of the second phase, you still want to hit triangle. I don't know why it's like that, aside from probably the fact that Argonaut did not properly program this game. In most cases, the first input of the previous phase is going to be triangle. The only instance where this is not the case is the third phase of Quirrell's lesson, because the second phase of Quirrell's lesson starts with square, or rather it starts with circle, And so if you start the third phase and you get a ghost input, you want to input circle instead of triangle. In any other instance, if you get a ghost input, you just want to press triangle. So yeah, before all the updates to the route, you would get all these beans. So the biggest change that 100% has gotten is that no beans are actually important except for blue. It was discovered by me a few weeks ago that neither the Nimbus 2000 nor the Quidditch armor actually give you any percent. So the only portrait room you have to enter is the blue portrait room because it has a wizard card, and you do need all 17 of those for 100%. And entering that also does fulfill the requirement of entering a portrait room. So it all just kind of works out really well. Yeah. There's been talks of like a, complete collectibles category possibly, maybe as like a miscellaneous or something where you do actually get all the bean rewards. On top of everything else for 100%, and if that happens, then like I'll just make some small guides on the differences there. But this will be for the sake of 100%, where we're just trying to get 100% on the save file. So this is where the route really differentiates from any percent for the first time. Normally in any percent, you would come out of this corridor and you'd immediately go up the stairs into the entrance hall to fight Malfoy. But in 100%, you have to actually collect wizard cards. So the first thing you do is you go directly to this bookcase. And here you get the Merlin wizard card. Every time you get a wizard card, you kind of want to just mash square to just like exit this and then just start moving immediately again. I'm really bad at knowing what exactly the camera does here. There's like only one wizard card where you want to immediately mash square. So from there, you actually go up this staircase and you go into the Great Foyer. This is an area that you only really see in 100% because there's nothing in here that you need in any percent. So from here, when you enter the Great Foyer, you go immediately into this bookcase. Here's another wizard card. And you just close this one out also. And then just leave. Generally, I find that the camera will face where like, so you'll be looking at Harry's back in whatever position he was when he picked up the wizard card. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it does that, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's consistent. So from here, you just come down and you go to the right. You dodge this guy again, but you don't have to climb up this, but you can just like kind of run around like this and you won't talk to him. And you enter this bookcase, and this is the first minigame. So this minigame is just like some Slytherin charmed all his shit and you just have to hit it for some reason. There's a bit of randomness to this, but it's a pretty easy minigame. You just hit everything as it pops up. You have to get a specific number of each, and thankfully chocolate frogs are like the most common. So yeah, oh well, I missed. But yeah, that was a really good phase otherwise. I've had one particularly bad one where I like had like no cauldrons when I needed them. So this is the one where I would recommend looking at the Folio Magi. Like I said, you have to look at the Folio Magi at least once, or you have to go into the Gryffindor common room. This is faster because 1486. I'm just gonna let. Okay, so the reason this is faster than entering the Gryffindor common room, aside from the fact that the common room is just out of the way anyway, is that if you look at a wizard card as you're finishing a minigame, it's one less load screen because the next load screen after this is going to be one that would have occurred anyway, which would be the load screen of you leaving the minigame. If you look at any other wizard card that's not a minigame, then there will be an extra load screen because there wouldn't have been a load screen there anyway. So I hope that got explained properly because I feel like I kind of flubbed the wording on it. But basically, like any of the mini games, so this, any of the bouncing bulbs in the castle grounds, the cat in the like upper castle, whatever, or the cauldrons in the dungeons, any of those mini games would be good ones to look at the Folio Magi. And you only have to do it once. Since this is the first one and it's the very beginning of the run, I just recommend doing it here, that way you don't forget. Alright, and then from there you want to run along and dodge this guy again. And then come down here and exit the Great Foyer. And from here, you just drop down here. Again, this is a lot like any percent.
Well, Pop, this is
Fight
a
with
far
Malfoy.
track to the Wingardium Leviosa. Wingardium
So I'll try and explain how to do Malfoy 1, but the basic gist of it is that you just like do certain positioning and movement to make it so Malfoy like kind of stands in the same spot so he's easy to hit.
Ow!
I'll try and just show it off. I think that's easier than just explaining how to do it. Thankfully, first phase is really easy.
Crab.
Alright, that was a good second phase. Third phase I feel is the trickiest one to get like the quickest cycle on. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I completely messed this up. So I'm just gonna like eyeball this now. Oh. Thankfully that worked out kind of well anyway. So the first two phases I did properly, the third phase I did completely wrong, so if you want a good example of how that fight's supposed to go, I would recommend watching Dilwingo's any percent record, the 113.27 I believe at the time of me recording this. Yeah, 113.27. I'm pretty sure he gets it all correctly there. But yeah, that's the first part of the run. I call it the main castle, or you can call it like the Charms Corridor or whatever. So you got about like a minute of cutscene here.
Ravenclaw.
So if you got all the house points here, you should have around like 65 to 75. I think I generally get 75. Or it might be 70, I don't remember.
Gryffindor.
Okay, 70, yeah. So if you have 70 here, then you're in a good spot.
Gryffindor are in the lead on house points. Will Slytherin hold the House Cup for a seventh consecutive year?
So let's go up to this part, the castle grounds. Alright, so the castle grounds section of the run is the one that is by far the most different from any percent, and that's because not only do you like not do fire seed skip or anything, you also actually have to collect the blue beans because you need the wizard card from the portrait. So this is all like automated. You just skip dialogue and it takes you immediately to the herbology lesson. So here the movement's a little different from any percent. So you want to start the classroom, and then you want to hit this one, and you want to grab this bean. You want to grab this bean, and you can hit this last pillar and this second pillar here, and each one gives you another like 500 points. So I like to hit this one too, just to be safe. If you really want the extra 5 points, you can get that one as well. And from there, you just start the lesson.
Goodies, right. Watch my completed. That's the tip. Get ready.
All right, so this is more of just the lessons and stuff. This is all just a matter of just memorizing it. You don't even have to memorize it, like, because it just tells you what you have to do next. The only one you really have to memorize is the first input in case you get, like, a ghost input.
That was good. Excellent. Perfect.
Right. So this would actually be a good moment to talk about Fast Incendio. So there's like a guide on SRCom to on like what to do for Fast Incendio, but basically you can buffer the first input of every Incendio that you do. All of the relevant ones in any percent have like guides that are like what all 5 of their inputs are, so you can read that. The ones that are for 100% aren't on here, and I don't have them memorized either. So so those ones you'll probably just have to learn and like write down, which I should honestly do too, because Fast Incendio is not really that difficult, and it does save a little bit of time. But the way it works alongside just like buffering the first input is that you can also like kind of quickly get 2 inputs at the same time, and it's just, if you properly time it, then both inputs will happen while the ring is passing, or while the button is passing through the ring. So we'll see if I can show it off here. Yeah, there. That was a really good Fast Incendio. I think this is like the easiest Fast Incendio to get, so some of them are a little difficult just because of lag. Like the Devil's Snare one, I know Wingo doesn't go for it, and I don't go for it just because that entire section of the game is extremely lagging on PS2. But yeah, so from here, after you do the Herbology lesson, you just go to Quidditch practice. You want to run along this way, that way you don't talk to this guy. And yeah, so Quidditch practice is like, I call it a 3.5 minute auto scroller because it basically is. But it does give you 75 points, so
which is why for your first fly through, get set.
Yeah, so basically this is just Madam who's teaching you how to like catch the snitch and stuff. So if you're used to any percent and like how laggy all of the flying is within like the flying lesson and like the Quidditch matches, then you might be really thrown off by how well the broom handles in this section. Like, this is so unlaggy that it actually bothers me with how little lag it is.
Excellent.
So
Performance, you've earned gold wings and 25 house points.
So you really want to get like gold wings here for everyone, because not only is that completion, but you also get 25 house points for each, so you leave this with an extra 75 house points. So yeah, the first phase is just like chasing the snitch, the second phase is catching it, and then the third phase is catching it against another seeker, which is kind of just the same thing as catching it. I believe every missed ring is like a 1.5 seconds or something, if it's anything like the actual Quidditch matches.
Excellent. For that performance, you've earned gold wings and 25 house points to...
Alright, and then the last phase is 30 rings of just like chasing the...
catching a snitch while racing against another seeker.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to go as quickly as possible there, if you hold X and mash square at the same time, then you can just like be automatically accelerating when it starts. And then you can just like let go of square quickly. So this is like the most laggy section because of the other seeker, and even then it doesn't even come close to the lag of like actual Quidditch matches, so it still is... The broomsticks kind of... like, it feels a lot smoother in this section just because of how little lag there is. And that's Quidditch practice.
You've earned gold wings and 25 house points. Run along then.
Yeah, so Quidditch practice. From here, you head towards Hagrid's hut, and we're gonna knock out a couple of the mini games on there. There's 3 bouncing bulb mini games in this section, so 2 of them will be done here, and the last one will be done right before the second fight with Malfoy. So when you trigger this cutscene, if you're just holding left the entire time, then you can, like, you'll guarantee to not grab the well. All right, most important lore here.
I used to have a puff game.
Thank you for that contribution, Ron. All right, so this Puffskein is a piece of shit. But what you want to do is you want to guide him over to these like thorn bushes or whatever, and you want him to eat 3 of them. Each one gives you a bean. You can do 4 if you really want to be safe, but you see how slow it is for him to actually eat this shit. So you only need 3. So you get these 3, and then you just go into this little hidden door here, and this is the first bouncing ball minigames. These minigames kind of suck. You have to collect all the beans, but there are also these bouncing bulbs that are trying to hit you. I believe there's like some bit of randomness to how they move, and sometimes like they're so off screen that you can't really react to them. Naturally, of course, when I'm writing the guide, I get like the best possible setup where they were nowhere near me. But yeah, that's kind of just a factor of like trying your best to react to it all. Sometimes it just doesn't go well. But from there, you just go this way towards Hagrid's hut.
There you are, Harry. The plant being some very...
Alright, so from here you head out this way, and you snipe this bouncing bulb. One thing that's important is that when you snipe the bouncing bulbs, you have to grab their bean at like now, because if you like leave the screen and then come back, the bean will be gone. And there's so few blue beans that with this route you get exactly 70. It's actually kind of disgusting. That's really the reason why, like, if there were more beans that were quick to pick up, I actually wouldn't even come this way until much later, because it's like a decent amount of seconds of detour. But any other potential other options for 3 beans are all slower than just coming up this way and then coming back to it later. It's pretty fucking gross. But this is the way to the portrait, but we're not going to talk to the portrait until much later. So this is the second bouncing ball minigame, which I guess is the silver lining of there being too few beans, is that you get this out of the way way sooner.
Hello, Harry.
Alright, we'll see if this one's any worse than the last one. But yeah. Yeah. The way the bulbs move is kind of gross. They can jump like right over you, but you can tell this is not the best depth perception. There's an example of them hitting me. See? And there's no cooldown from when you get hit, so they can just barrage you like 3 at a time, and you'll just drop like 15 beans or whatever. Alright, that's the first 2 of the 3 out of the way. And then you just head out this way. I think there's a way to skip this cutscene with Neville. Oh, well, that worked out, I guess. It's because I like kind of lollygagged over here, I guess. But if generally, if you're going as fast as possible, you're gonna run up here. Neville's gonna be coming out of that doorway, and he's gonna say, "Out of my way, Harry! There's a huge monster out there." And there's ways to skip it, but I don't think it's reliable. So you just like, it's not really long. You just mash through it. So before you enter Gargoyle Gate, you come to this side thing here. You can grab that frog, I guess. So hit triangle here for the reticle. Flipendo this wizard card so it comes down. Listen to the annoying butterflies, I guess. You grab these beans. And then, yeah. Enter Gargoyle Gate. So this boss fight's not really hard, but it is incredibly annoying and terrifying because of the sounds this thing freaking makes. So like you want to fully charge Flipendo, that way it gets knocked out in 3 hits. I kind of try and keep my distance from it, because if it comes down to you, like if you're really close to it and it comes at you too low, it actually doesn't get hit by the Flipendo for whatever reason. So and here you can just mash Wingardium Leviosa, and you just put them up here, and all is well. And you never have to hear that sound ever again, at least until your next run. Grab all 3 of these beans, and we are on to Fire Seeds. Let's just run up this way. So there's like a really long, like 15-second cutscene or something. So this is Puffskein Skip. The way you're supposed to do this is you're supposed to guide the Puffskeins into these little like small vents, and then it pushes enough air in the higher up vents that you can just like reach the ledges. That's really slow. No one wants to do that. So the way you kind of do Puffskein Skip is like, you see how Harry is like walking like this, and like I'm holding like the analog stick like all the way up, and Harry's walking. So there's a state like this, and if you can kind of also like, after a while Harry starts running. So what you want to do is like you want to like walk along the wall like this, and you don't want Harry to leave this walking state, and you kind of just like run along the wall here or walk along it. And if you do it right, then the game like lags enough for something, and Harry just like flies up the wall. If you like run at it like that, then you won't get enough height. So yeah, so just walk along the wall. Yeah, there. It's like since I started running, didn't get enough height. So yeah, just walk along the wall like that. I think that one was my camera angle just being bad. This is a little bit of a finicky strat, but when you get it down, it's really not that difficult. And you have to do it 3 times. There's 3 different ones. So here, you grab this bean, and then grab this one. If for any reason you miss a bean, you can like come back and get this one, but it's a bit of time loss to do it. I mean, I guess I'll grab this one anyway just to be safe, but we should be good. But yeah, you can just do that if you're short a bean for whatever reason, like if you missed one of the eggplant ones or whatever. Here, you just grab these 2, and then again, you can grab that one again if you feel like it, but that one's really slow. So these next 2, you want to approach them from the right. This one I feel like is the most generous in that there's like multiple setups that will work. But yeah, it's the same idea. You just want to like walk at the wall like that. If you're getting that, then you just have to like finick with the camera a bit. Grab this bean, pull this lever, it opens the door on the other side that you see there. Grab that bean, come down here. So this is like, in my opinion, this is the worst of the Puffskein skips. Basically, I kind of like line up where you see, if you see above Harry's head, there's like a little bit where like 2 bricks meet each other. So I kind of line up here, and I just kind of like walk along here as close as I can, and then like kind of just finick with the camera until it works. Another thing is that like, so for that one, the only way I've ever gotten it to work is he flies up the vent and then falls down and immediately like rises again, and then the second one usually gives him enough height to grab the ledge. This Puffskein skip in particular is pretty gross though, so like if you mess it up, just like keep trying it really. Like I would definitely practice this entire section because you can save a fair bit of time here just by having Puffskein skips go well. So you flipendo that birdie box or whatever and get those 5 beans, and you watch this really long cutscene of showing this entire path, and at the end there are the fire seeds, because you know what else would be at the end of this path. Like, just look at how long this cutscene is. And you can't skip it. So, yeah, this is basically some, I guess this is platforming. Yeah, just run along these. So this one, I like to do right and then left, or right, center, and then just get the left one on the way back. See if I can get this thing that I found. Nope, I missed. If you like run at the center one at like a proper angle or something, like Harry doesn't even jump, he just like immediately just lands on it. So that's one of the reasons I go right then center. And then you just keep going this way. Oh, well, I jumped too far there. So here, you can like jump up here, or you can also just like damage abuse along the lava here. I don't know if either of them is faster than the other that's the running along the lava to me feels faster, but I haven't actually timed it. So this Incendio, it moves really quickly, so I never attempt quick Incendio here because it's fast enough anyway, and I don't want to mess it up. The first input I believe is circle though. I believe it's circle, square, triangle, or something. So.
Incendio!
Yeah. And you get this really ominous, like, bum bum, because fire seeds are scary, I guess. And you'd think the game would let you, like, death abuse here, but no, you actually have to go all the way back. If you die here, you have to watch the entire fire seed cutscene again and then get the fire seeds, and nobody wants to do that. So this is, again, you can do some damage abusing here. So yeah, just running along this. Get this blue bean. Can do a bit of a corner cut here. Yeah. Yeah. The rest of this is just backtracking out of the Puffskein area. And again, you can grab that extra blue bean if you feel like you're short on them, but you really shouldn't be short on them. If you jump too far down here, you can actually like take damage. I didn't there. So if you are like kind of low on health and you're afraid that you might like die in Malfoy 2, you can grab this Wiggenweld potion. And like you can be low on health if you if you took damage in the Gargoyle fight, or if you like damage abused a bit too many times on like the Fire Seed Lake or whatever. So it loses the time obviously to get this potion, but if you're really low on health, like it's an option that you can do. So yeah. And this is just more backtracking to back to Hagrid. You can grab this chocolate frog too if you feel like you need it.
Well done, Harry. Now I can show. Come on.
And then it's like a good minute and a half of just skipping dialogue.
Welcome to me. I got this. I need some. Go ahead. You've done it. Up you. Hey, Neil, Harry. Oh, see ya.
Yeah, that's just like a lot of it's a lot of dialogue skipping. So from here, the gate on the other side of Hagrid's hut is now open. So the game kind of just tells you, hey, go this way. Alright, so this being here, you can actually skip it because later on after you fight Malfoy, you'll automatically walk through it and get it. So you come here, and there's just a couple more beans that you can get. You can flipendo this. Yeah, we'll just get all these.
Follow me, Harry.
So even though he says to follow you, you don't follow him yet. So after picking up this bean, if you have 47, then you're in a good spot. Because the next one will be 48, and then you will pick up the remaining ones during like the whole Sloth Brain section. But this is the third Bouncing Bolt minigame, so you just do this one now.
Hello.
Yeah, so kind of just like reacting to the way the bulbs are moving. Well, that worked out well. So I'm actually going to take a quick bathroom break before the next section, so I will be right back. Alright. So after you do the Mounting Bowl minigame, you head over to the Quidditch pitch. Actually, oh.
This is the entrance to the Quidditch pitch.
So the thing I mentioned before where you hold X and mash square at the same time, you kind of want to hold the controller like this. And this will be important for the Malfoy 2 fight. So this is something Nitroff taught me. You just hold X the whole time, and then every time you get remotely close to Malfoy, you just kind of like mash square. Because the game's kind of finicky, where sometimes when it tells you to press square, it doesn't actually work. So you just like get close to him and just mash square. And you just like... you're able to like quickly get through it like this. Yeah, if you hit any walls, you like slow down a lot, and you don't want to do that, obviously. Alright, so that was not bad. Anything where you knock them out before you reach like the like rock enclosure, I guess, I would consider to be like good. So, and that doing that strat definitely helps a lot. And then from here, it's just a lot more dialogue skipping until the first Quidditch match. And here it picks up the bean. Alright, so at this point you should have 48 beans. I have 49 because I picked up the extra one Fire Seed. Yeah, so this is just a lot of dialogue skipping. There's a loading screen and that's even more dialogue skipping.
Wow! I just wanted everyone's...
Take a drink every time Ron says, wow! And you start Quidditch and there's even more dialogue skipping.
Welcome to Quidditch. Watch out, Gryffindors, remember. Here comes Potter!
So the snitch, as far as I know, follows a set pattern. The pattern is different in all three of like the Slytherin Quidditch, or all three of the Quidditch matches, because there are 3 and 100%. But in each specific one, it follows the pattern every run. As far as I know, at least. So these basically come down to learning the patterns and learning how to deal with the horrendous lag that happens in these sections. Like, I don't know if you can tell just by watching it, but like playing it, this is like significantly slower and laggier than like the flying lesson or like the Quidditch practice. Like, I think it's just like the amount of stuff going on in the background just makes it lag a lot. And like the bludgers can hit you, but they're not actually a threat, because you always come into these with full health, and if you get hit by like 7 bludgers, then I really don't know what to tell you. Really, this is mostly an auto-scroller. The only time you can lose is like missing a ring or missing catching the snitch.
Look at Potter go! Potter takes the lead. This is amazing. I've not seen such flying. Wonderful. Potter's going for it!
And that's Quidditch.
Potter brings it home for Gryffindor!
And then you let this play out. And then it's even more dialogue skipping.
Well,
and this is our introduction to Snape, because you can actually meet him earlier, but that's slow, so we don't. If you go to the dungeons early, then he's walking the way. This is just, again, a lot more dialogue skipping.
Hey, the map shows. I wonder if it... The map says...
Alright, so this is the Sloth Brain section. Basically, you're grabbing the Sloth Brain because it was stolen and Snape thinks you did it, because Snape thinks you do everything. So if you walk along this way, then you won't talk to Ron. Don't do what I just did there. Don't walk along the book like that. Just like walk around like that. That's better. So there's a Wiggenweld potion over there if you need it. You really shouldn't need it. So you grab this bean, and then you actually fight this venomous tentacula. For one, if you do it right, it's really not that much time loss, or not that slow. And then Incendio, I don't know this one. So that was like pretty quick. It gets you like, I think 10 house points or something, or 5 house points, and it gets you 4 beans. I don't know if it's actually like really that quick, but Whip does it, and I can't think of any beans that are faster than these 4 in that amount of time. So I don't know, it seems good to me. Maybe that'll change later on. So the normal way you're supposed to do this, like I guess the intended way, is you pull this lever and then you walk all the way to the other side, and like the doors open. It's like no longer locked, and then like there's something about Ron talking about shit or something. But we're gonna do Sloth Brain Skip. If you have seen an any percent run, then you know about this. And basically, like, you're gonna like line yourself up here, and then like turn the camera this way, and then somehow Harry just like clips to the geometry and like runs up this thing that he's not supposed to. Like, if you see like this, he's not supposed to go up here. But so the way I do this, there's like a couple setups for this, and I don't entirely understand how it works. But kind of what I do is like, you see how this is actually a really good lineup. I wasn't even trying. But you see how like Harry's like, I'm holding D-pad by the way. Harry's kind of like his left side, like the grass I guess is like kind of lighter, and on the right it's darker, which I guess is like shading or whatever. So you kind of like line up here, and you can also kind of like line up with his head where you see in the tree where it kind of like it comes down and like curves to the right, or I guess the right for actually looking at the camera or whatever. So like it kind of like it does that. So if you kind of line up here, and then you like just press triangle, and then I hold like L2 and R2, and then I kind of like line up here, and I kind of center the reticle where like this little white section right here is like in the reticle, but also like this black corner of the tree. And I'll let go, and I wait like a couple seconds, and then I just run forward, and I mess it up. Maybe I just like waited too long or something, but yeah, you kind of just like line up like this, or like, yeah, line up like this, hold L2, R2, move here. So yeah, if you do it right, you get that. I don't know, I don't really know how to explain Sloth Brain Skip, but yeah, if you do it right, it does that. It saves like, I don't know how much it saves in 100%. In any percent, it's like 40 seconds. So it's really not a big time save, but it is like a little bit faster. Because it saves having to like go around the entire area again. So you grab the Sloth Brain, and then you actually just keep going back this way. So you have these like mushroom things called Horklumps or something. These suck. Each of these has like 4 or 5 blue beans under them. And you have to pull them out with Wingardium Leviosa. You have to get them far away from like the area that you can, and then you have to pick up all the blue beans before it runs back, grabs them all, and like ends up back in this spot. And it's really annoying. I think there's some RNG to it. The reason it's important, aside from the fact that you need these blue beans, like when you get all of these blue beans, you should have exactly 70. I'm gonna have 71 because I picked up the extra bean. But also, like, getting all the blue beans from them gives you, like, 25 house points or something. So, ideally, you only have to do 4 Wingardium Leviosas. If it goes poorly, you might have to do better. But this first one, I pull to this corner. And you kind of just have to, like, you have to react to where the beans go. And you have to, like, get them in a way where the Horklump's not going to beat you to it, basically, I guess.
Wingardium Leviosa.
This one I think I kind of like put back here or something. Yeah. Okay, that time it beat me to that one. That was kind of a gross setup. But yeah, you can lose time here just by that. Okay, well that time it just gave it to me, so. And then kind of like stand here.
Leviosa.
This one, nope, this one you kind of want to put over here. Yeah. Sometimes the game is kind, and like the beans will pop out in a way where you just like get them. And then it should be 4 for this. Yeah, so you pull this one out all the way over here again. Alright, yeah. If you do it right, then you get, yeah, like 25 points or something. So yeah, you'll know you got all of them when you get the house points, and then you have 70 beans. So here you just kind of keep going this way, Alright, so here, there's two ways you can do this. If you hug the wall here, then you'll trigger a cutscene where Hedwig flies by, drops a letter, and then you can just like skip the letter and go talk to Ron. Or you can like run around the left side, and if you do that, you skip the Hedwig cutscene. When I timed them, they were about close to identical just because of the extra movement of wrapping around. And also, like, you can just hug the corner so much better this way, so I think it's better to just, like, run up and just trigger the cutscene like this. So, like, that cutscene's short enough that anytime you save by skipping it, you probably lose just on movement. But yeah, that's most of the castle grounds. There's just one more thing after this cutscene.
Ravenclaw. Hufflepuff.
So from here, you should get 120 house points, I believe.
Slytherin. Gryffindor.
Yeah, 120 is generally good.
Gryffindor are in the lead on house points.
So yeah, at this point, you should have 190 house points or so. Alright. So this is another pretty big route change from the old route that like Whip did. So here, instead of going straight to the dungeon, you actually want to backtrack back out to the castle grounds, and you want to talk to Fred and George to get the password. So basically, you're just going to come out here. And just kind of like just run over this way. You just talk to Fred and George. So you get the password, but you're not going to go talk to the portrait yet. And then you just run back to the castle. The old way that was done is that you wouldn't talk to Fred and George until after the Forbidden Forest. And the movement there was like, you would leave Hagrid's hut, you would talk to Ron and Hermione, you would go talk to Fred and George to get the password, you would go back towards Hagrid's hut, you'd go past Hagrid's hut to the portrait area, you talk to the portrait, get the wizard card, and then double back all the way past Hagrid's hut into the castle. Which, I mean, even describing it, it sounds like it's really long, it's a lot of backtracking. So I timed the difference between that and doing this, where you just like immediately go back out of the castle. And this, I want to say, is about 9 seconds faster, so it's not really as big of a time save as it seems, but it is like a free time save, so I definitely think this is a better way to do it. Alright, so that's all of the castle grounds, so now we're just gonna be heading to the dungeon. So here you can... So you can, if you get ahead of Ron here, you can do a dialogue skip. It just saves some time.
So well.
Just more dialogue skipping. You have to actually sit here and watch Snape walk away for whatever reason. Also, he's the slowest ass motherfucker on the planet. And yeah. So dungeons is also pretty different from any percent, but that's just because you skip most of the dungeons in any percent. So you come down the staircase and you climb the left staircase to start potions.
Come on, Harry.
So the way potions works is it's just a bunch of phases where it gives you like a set of like 3-button combinations, and you just hit the 3 buttons in that order. It's really not that difficult.
Now, Pet. Then you have... If you manage... Your turn.
So yeah. This you kind of just have to react to the button combination it gives you. Actually, it might be the same every time. I'm not sure. I've never bothered seeing, like, noticing if it's the same thing. But yeah, that's all there is to it. I did it kind of slow. And then this is just more dialogue skipping.
Potter, I've never...
Alright, and this starts the Firefly section. Alright, so this is a really long cutscene starting here. So you fall down, and it kind of just shows you how these trolls move, and you want to throw these like puffapods or whatever while they're standing on the grates like this. And if you move fast enough, you can just immediately run off and hit this one troll. So just immediately throw like that. So there is a way to like manipulate this troll into like, you can just drop down and have him attack you, and then if he's standing on the vent, you might be able to cause him to fall through it, but it's a really gross strat, and I just wait this out, even though it's slow. Alright, you can get another padlock skip here, and naturally I didn't get this one. Like, the padlock skips in general are kind of like finicky. So here you have to save this idiot's cat that he dropped down a well. So this is RNG. Like, there's a bunch of crates back here, and the cat will be in one of them. So the things that can come out of these are, you can get nothing. You can get the cat, which is what you want, or you can get, sometimes you'll get like a group of 3 green beans, and sometimes you'll get a rat. The rats are annoying because you have to fully charge Flipendo to actually kill them. Which is great. Yep, so there's a rat. I generally attack those on the way back. Alright, there's the cat. So, but yeah, you can see, like, these go all the way back here, and which box the cat is in is entirely random. So you can just lose time here based solely on RNG. And then you have to, like, guide the cat back. At least it makes cute noises. And then basically, when the cat catches up with you, you just Wingardium Leviosa to lift it up to Raymond, the stupidest Ravenclaw who ever lived. Actually, that's an insult. Gilderoy Lockhart is a Ravenclaw, so let's not be mean to Raymond. And then he gives you a wizard card for your pursuits, I guess. Alright. So you come up here and you pull this lever. And then it lifts like that. And then it opens the door to the left. And this is the Cauldron room. This room's kind of fucking annoying, because you want to step on these cauldrons, and you're supposed to flipendo them to slow them down, but that's slow, and you can kind of just like, hopefully it just lines up like that. Sometimes when you get like really good lining, you just don't even have to grab the ledge there. This is definitely a room I would practice though, because every time you fall in this goop, it sends you back to the beginning, and if you die in this area, you'll go all the way back to the start of the Firefly section with like the 2 trolls. It's ridiculous time loss. So really just practice this and make sure you get it down well. And like take it slow if you really feel like you have to. But yeah, there are these frogs here. So you pull this lever and it opens the door to the room with the sleeping troll. Now you think you'd be able to just drop down here immediately and show up at the other side, but you can't because the developers are jerks like that. So, yeah, you can grab both of these frogs if you need the health, and then you just run across the wall here. So if you're ever watching someone run 100%, you know, once in a blue moon, and you see them run across the wall like that, and you're like, oh, why don't they just fall into the goop and then end up on the other side? That's why it doesn't work. Alright, so you go back into this chamber here, you go across the room to the room with the sleeping troll. So the way you're supposed to do this is that it shows you the troll's asleep. There's a cage with a key, and then there's a haystack right next to it. You're supposed to use Wingardium Leviosa to lift the cage and drop it on the haystack so it lands quietly and you don't wake the troll up. First thing you do is pull this lever. It's really loud and somehow the troll doesn't wake up. So if you want to be safe, you can drop the cage on the haystack, or you can just do it the fast way and come all the way up to the cage, or at least kind of close to it like this. Lift it and just drop it right in front of you, grab the key, and run the hell for your life. It's really not that hard. Also, shout outs to the fact that pulling the lever didn't wake the troll up, but if you, like, very gently drop the cage on the ground and it's, like, not even touching the ground, the troll wakes up. So, magic, I guess. Alright, so from here, you just, like, jump up this way. And then you gaze at the most terrifying thing you've ever seen on a doorway. And then you just come this way. Get this Puffapod. And then make him sneeze. It's probably a faster way to do this, but this is an option. Yeah, this troll likes to take his sweet time. But once you get that, you can again try a padlock skip here. Probably won't get it. Yeah. It's like something about, like, well, that worked too, I guess. I buffered it, I guess, or something. Yeah, grab the fireflies. Padlock skips are a little weird. You kind of just, like, get close to it, but not too close to it, but not too far away from it. You just mash square and you hope you hit it on, like, the right frame or something. And that's fireflies.
I wasn't give me those fireflies.
You would not believe your eyes.
Now leave.
And then next up is Defense Against the Dark Arts. So the obstacle course for Defense Against the Dark Arts is really, really annoying. Like, it's pretty garbage. I'll just, like, show it. You want to, like, kind of control your jumps there. If you, from the first book to the second book, if you, like, hold forward the entire time, there's a very, very good chance you'll overshoot. And you'll fall to the ground and you'll miss the entire cycle and you'll just lose a bunch of time. So from jumping from the first book to the second book, you kind of want to, like, let go a little bit. But you also don't want to wait too long, because if you take too long, then you might miss the cycle for the third book. Alright. So this section's a lot more straightforward, but it also takes longer. So you wait for this book to pop up again. Yeah. You kind of have to be quick about it.
Welcome, young Mr.
Alright. So this is the first lesson that has 3 phases. But again, it's more just like or not even memorizing, just following everything and not messing up any inputs.
Excellent. Perfect.
Well, that was great.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Not good.
So that was a ghost input, and you see, like, the first input of this phase is circle, but the ghost input was triangle. That was what I was talking about, where it's always the first input of the previous phase.
Watch out for this.
Yeah, the most memorization you have to do for these is just in terms of reacting to ghost inputs like that. I've never had a ghost input there, which is part of why I flubbed it.
Perfect.
But it just comes with, like, experience.
You may now Now, first, observe for good luck.
Yep, so you just do this, these become solid, and you jump to the other side.
Impressive.
Actually, I want to see something. Oh, that might be better. I didn't even think about that. That might be better. Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to time that, go ahead.
Harry, do you remember that dumb? That must be. Let's split up. Good luck, Harry.
Alright, so here, you go down to the lower section of the dungeon. Alright, so... you do Vertimillious here. Grab this, and then... this is Cauldrons. So this is going to be 3 mini-games, kind of like the 3 bouncing bulbs. Not nearly as trash. And you do them all in rapid succession. So you can do these in any order. Like there's this bookcase, there's a bookcase up here, and then there's a bookcase past this door. I saved this one for last just because it's the easiest one. So I kind of just like, I go into this doorway here. You can just fly up this way. So the way this works is that Nearly Headless Nick has some fun for you.
Within the time limit,
I'll just let him explain it.
to push the cauldrons onto the heated grills. If you get them stuck in the corner.
So he says corner. You can also get them stuck on walls, which is really annoying. So if you like knock a cauldron into a wall, you can only move it along the wall at that point. If you try to move it away from the wall, it doesn't work. So be very careful about that, because if you get it stuck on a wall, you have to do the minigame over. But yeah. That is not how I wanted to do that. You can actually jump over this. So, like, I admittedly don't entirely know what the optimal route is. I kind of just eyeball it. If you want an idea of what an optimal route might be, I would recommend watching Whip. Also, I just completely messed this up. So, here's an example. Like, I can't push it off of this. Yeah, so, like, this cauldron is completely stuck. This is what you don't want to do. So, yeah.
Oh dear. Shall I reset the cauldrons for you, Harry? Hello, Harry. Within the... if you get them...
Yeah, so, yeah, you can land on it like that. Yeah, and then you can also, like, move 2 of them at the same time, and, you know, it just saves a little bit of time. But yeah, so you want to, like, yeah, hit it this way. These cauldrons move painfully slow, and you can't move them again until after they stop moving. So, I actually think I wanted to put this cauldron in that lower one here, but this will work out too. So, thankfully there's some flexibility on this, but it is kind of gross. Yeah, so these other two cauldrons I did, you want to swap this one and the upper left one. I'm pretty sure I do it right in my PB, so you can watch me or Whip in like my actual PB and you'll know how to like properly do that. Alright. So that's the first cauldron down. You can actually just straight up like drop down here, and because of the vents, you won't take any damage for that fall. And then here, you just like jump up here. This is the second Cauldron minigame. Very kind of the developers, put them all right next to each other.
Hello, Harry. Within the... if you get them...
This is more of the same idea. You just... yeah. This one this way, and then you can start moving these two at like the same time. This one you definitely want to like guide it along this way, because any other path you'll get it stuck in a wall. All right.
Well done.
So this last cauldron one is very easy. It's only 3 cauldrons and it moves really quickly. I have messed it up before and I felt like a special kind of stupid. So you can actually mess these up, but they're not really that bad. But yeah, this one goes by so much quicker. Like, this is intended to be the first one.
Hello, Harry. Within the... If you get...
But like, just... It's 3 cauldrons, and they move at like lightning speed, so much better. That's not the direction I wanted. See? Special kind of stupid. Yeah, you do have to be really careful with this, because sometimes you will just, like, not hit it in the direction you want. If you do have to reset, if you just, like, hold L, if you hold left there, it'll just buffer a left input and save some time. Alright, so take 2. That's how it's supposed to go.
Well done.
And that's cauldrons. So the only thing left in the dungeon is 4 eyes. So yeah. So you pop out and like make sure you like head towards this door and not that door. The camera kind of like deceives you into thinking the other way. So there's kind of 2 ways to get to the next section. The easier method that Whip and I both use is you just drop down to the beginning of the Vertimilius and do that again. You can do the last part of a jump that's called Early 4 Eyes that used to be used in any percent before Quidditch Abuse was found. I don't really know the proper setup, but like you can like line up here and then just kind of like go for a jump or something like this, and then like if you do it right, you'll like make that jump. That was kind of close. I kind of want to try it again. It's like, yeah, you like set up here or something. I don't even know. Yeah, no, it's like... It's a lot easier to just drop down and just do Vertimilius again, and it really doesn't lose that much time. If for whatever reason you do go for the like early 4 eyes jump, you can just, if you fail, you just go do Vertimilius. But Vertimilius is just easier overall. Alright. So 4 eyes, this is identical mostly to how you do it in any percent. Yeah, there's like a couple things that are different in terms of house points, but this is mostly identical to any percent. But this is one of the more complex sections of any percent, so if you're not really aware of it, it's just good to explain anyway. So yeah, basically the gist of this entire section is that there's the door out of the dungeons is being blocked by the curse with like 4 floating eyes or some shit, and you have to find the source of each of the curses and destroy them. So yeah, come up this way, and there's a certain order that you kill them in that's like optimal. This is Peeves. You'll see him later. You won't ever see him in the movies, which is sad because he's one of the best characters in the series. So yeah, you just climb that bookcase and then come up this way, and then you immediately jump on these cauldrons. Oh, well, that was lucky. Sometimes the cauldron is floating high enough that you can just like skip landing on that platform and rise up that way. It doesn't usually line up like that. And then here's the first eye, the green eye. So you want to like charge the flipendo that'll like actually hit it. Like you kind of just like figure out the positioning, but I kind of like make sure I don't hit the corner, and I launch and immediately turn around. So when you do that, the eye will pop, and because Harry was facing away, the camera will automatically turn this way. So here's one thing that's different from any percent. You actually want to hit this block because it's 5 house points. You don't do that in any percent, but you want house points at 100%, so you do it here. And then this is a section with a bunch of flaming turtles, or I believe they're actually called fire crabs, which is kind of stupid because they're turtles. If the flames line up, you just want to run through them, because at the end of this section you are going to death abuse. So just taking damage is good. So again, same idea. Charge off the window, release it, and immediately turn around. So yeah, here the fires are lining up, so you just damage abuse through them. And then they line up here as well. I believe this last one will also line up. Nope, they're too high up. This is fine. So keep running this way. Go through this door. Hello, Peeves. Just continue running this way. So the next section you want to go is this left area right here, and you can kind of like jump like that, and then there. There might be a better way to do it, but it might be riskier. So there's a neat little like skip you can do here, where if you hit this eyeball and then like open this door before the cutscene triggers, then the cutscene for the eye dying will happen at the same time as you're entering the next room, and it just saves like a couple seconds. So let's see if I get it. Yeah, this should be it. You can do it a lot faster than that, but that was like a pretty safe setup. And then from here you just drop down here, and then the blue eye will be in this area. So there's a thing you can do here called night skip. I don't really know the setup for it. I've never learned it in any % yet, but like if you jump off at a certain point here, you can land around the knight and then you don't have to fight him. If you get it, it saves a couple seconds. If you fail it, it loses like a shit ton of time. So that's one of the reasons I don't go for it. Another reason is that killing this knight actually gives you 5 points, which you don't really need. So if you're feeling comfortable and you want to save a couple seconds, then you don't have to kill this knight. If you want to just be safe on your house point count, then you can just fight him like this. Yeah, I think it's like if you jump off like here at a certain point or something, you can grab the edge over there. I'm pretty sure Redneck's any % tutorial actually explains how to do night skip, so if you want to know how to do it, you can do it there. Alright, so this is the room where you death abuse, and in a twist of sheer irony, there's 4 or 5 chocolate frogs in it. But you kill this eye. And then here, you just death abuse. This is the only point in the entire run where death abusing is actually useful. Yeah. And then it's massive being over screen. And then you're back at the beginning, but all of the eyes are gone. So you just run up here. Nick tells you you're running late for class. What else is new? And then you're just leaving the dungeons at this point. And yep, that's the dungeons. So next up is the upper castle. Look at Hermione, so punctual. So yeah, come up here. Castle. So you're gonna come up to the upper castle, and the first thing it does is show you the entire upper castle, in case you needed to know what it looked like. and then you just head immediately to Transfiguration on your right. So the Transfiguration obstacle course is way easier than the Defense Against the Dark Arts one, but you also have less time, so like don't mess it up. Something of note, if you fail any of the obstacle courses, you actually lose house points, so I would recommend not failing them. I don't know how that would affect anything here when you have 0 house points, but... Or no, you have 75. I lied, never mind. Don't listen to me. But yeah, it's after this. But yeah.
Join us.
So, this is the last class. It's just like the other ones. The one thing of note is that the third phase is ridiculously long, so ideally don't mess it up.
That was good. Excellent. Perfect. Good. That was good. Excellent. Perfect.
Alright, this is the really annoying
Very
one.
well. That was good. Excellent. Perfect.
Yeah, that last one's like 10 inputs, and you have to do it 3 times, so...
Well done. Welcome. First, now, let's see.
Alright, so Avi Force is really, really straightforward. You just hit X every time it goes through the ring.
Well done.
Alright, so you come up here, and then leaving the class will do another house point cutscene, and you should have 80 points at this point, pretty consistently.
Meanwhile, the house point hourglasses are slowly filling up.
I'm gonna very quickly reset my
Ravenclaw.
capture card because it likes to desync audio very slightly over time. So,
Hufflepuff. Slytherin. Gryffindor. Slytherin are in the lead on house points. The race for the House Cup is heating up.
and yep, so that was Transfiguration. At this point, you should have 270 house points. You'll get 30 for the Troll, which is 300. And then you also get some for beating Fluffy. According to the... or no, it's... yeah, you get... yeah, you get 30 for the Troll, and then there you have 300 house points. And I think you might get some for beating like Fluffy or whatever, but I don't know if they actually count for the percentage. But basically... At this point, if you have 270 house points, you're good, because you'll get 30 for beating the Troll. Or you'll get 5 for part of the Peeves Chase, and then you'll get 25 for beating the Troll. So after this, you'll have 30 points. Alright, so... So here's Avi Force. It's very laggy. Grab this, so you can like kind of go with the table here, and it like kind of reduces lag. All right, so there's some precise movement you want to do in this next section. So you want to run along the wall here, because you want to go to this bookcase over here. If you do it right, then oh well, I did it wrong. So I did it wrong. But what you're supposed to do, and I do it right in my PB, so if you want to see it properly, you can go there. But if you run along the wall here, and then, don't hit the bookcase, but if you like run along the wall here, and then like trigger this bookcase, you'll enter the bookcase as that cutscene starts, So when you leave the bookcase, when you're done with a minigame, the cutscene will just automatically begin, and it just saves like a little bit of time, but it's really not a big deal. But this is the last of like the side minigames. This is the cat minigame, and you think this would be better with D-pad. You just have to chase the cat and get like 10 beans or something. For some reason, I find this really terrible on D-pad, so I would still recommend just doing it with analog. I believe the cat's pattern can be random. I don't remember, but this is pretty easy to react to regardless. Yeah. Actually, it might be set. I don't know for sure. But it's not really a hard minigame. Alright, so next up is the Peeves Chase. So if I had done the thing properly, then Harry would come out of here, and then the Peeves cutscene would start, and then you would end up right here. So you could just immediately do Heavy Force. It just saves a little bit on movement, but again, it's not really a big deal. And then... So a lot of the Peeves race is very standard platforming. There's one kind of important, or no, I wouldn't say it's kind of, it's really important thing that I'll bring up when we get to it. Thankfully, Peeves is like really, really slow, so you kind of have to be trying to lose this race, or you have to be really, really bad. So I would not recommend doing either of those things, by the way. But yeah, this is actually a really cool section of the game. It's just a lot of like really long, like just. It's pseudo-platforming. It's about as close to platforming as this game gets, aside from like the fire seed section. It also has a really good song, so you can kind of like corner cut there. Actually, probably should have saved before this. So you can kind of like go left here, or go right rather. So here you'll take some damage here, but you can just like drop down immediately like that and saves a bit of time. So you flipendo this web and you get 5 house points for that for some reason. I guess you get rewarded for cleaning up the school or some shit. So you can do a bit of a corner cut here. Like that. I don't know if it actually saves time, but it looks cool. Alright, so this next section is important. You want to come up here, and then Peeves is going to disappear into the wall, and then you're going to go to the right, and you want to wait until he appears again. If you don't, there's like if you leave that area before Peeves pops out of the wall, there's a chance that he'll never pop out, and then when you finish the race, the game will soft lock. And you really don't want to do that, because you're like an hour something into the run at this point, and nobody wants to lose time like that. So... kind of like do a corner cut here. You can go further than this, but you're waiting on Peeves anyway, so... But yeah, so when he pops out like that, then you start running. If you move any earlier, you can soft lock. I believe that's the cause of it, and since waiting for him there, I've never really soft locked, so... And before I soft lock now. Nope, there he is. Alright. And that's the Peeves race. And Harry automatically walks to the invisibility cloak, so just pick it up. And next up is the Forbidden Corridor. So you can just like drop down this way. You'll take damage, but you just immediately pick the frog up. Alright. So Forbidden Corridor is like... Casually, I consider this section to be kind of scary. It's really not that bad speed-wise, but it is pretty unforgiving if you mess it up in any way. So I guess be a little careful, but generally it's not too hard to do this section.
Well now, students
but if you get caught at any point, you just get sent back to the beginning. So really, really do not do that.
No, indeed. Dumbledore has ordered that no... And don't... Now be off with you.
My favorite is when Filch says Dumbledore has ordered that nose. There's some really funny dialogue that happens when you skip through it like that. So this first section is really easy. You just climb up this bookcase and then jump across to this other bookcase. And then grab the cloak. You can do this section cloakless, and I believe it saves a second, but I do not have the testicles to do that, so I just do this. Alright. So this next room, there's just going to be, like, it's just more dialogue skips. You just mash through this.
Yes, Mr. Phil.
Professor, well,
I see, but we have... There is something... We can't let...
no indeed.
See that you do, Mr. Filch. I have something special planned for anyone who...
Something special planned. If you mash fast enough, he just says I have something special planned for anyone. So this next room is the one that I absolutely recommend you do cloakless because it is so much faster. And it's really not difficult at all. I'm gonna mess it up. So you stand about here and you wait for Mrs. Norris to walk to the entire other side and then turn around. If you jump on the next platform at any point before that, she will catch you. So when she turns around, you just jump here. Jump here to grab the key, and then jump down this way. Very easy. And it saves time over having to get the cloak, because the cloak is next to Mrs. Norris, so it just takes forever to get it from her. Because you have to wait for her to walk, and she's the slowest cat who ever lived. Alright, so this is like the most annoying room. So you jump, grab this cloak, drop down, grab the key. And you kind of want to do this fast because the window is a little tight. Jump back this way. If you mess anything up, you can wait here, but if you go quick enough, you shouldn't need to. That is another room you can do cloakless, but that room is terrifying even normally, so I don't know if I'd recommend it. Just because it's really, really bad time loss to mess it up. So this room, you want to immediately run to this wall. If you do not, if you just immediately corner cut, so like if you just like exit the doorway and just immediately head towards the bookcase, Filch will see you. I think the reason running to the wall works is because it gives him enough time to move away, like out of the line of sight. So as long as you just exit the door, like enter through the doorway, immediately run to the right, touch the wall, and then head towards the bookcase, you should be fine. So if you position that properly, you can actually grab the bookcase without landing on the ground, but it's a little finicky, so if you miss it, you just grab the key like that. And that's the Forbidden Corridor. So here you just run across to this doorway, because that doorway is the one to Fluffy. And this is probably a good like 2-minute break. It's a really, really long storybook cutscene. And before it, you have Harry like tiptoeing up to the Mirror of Erised or whatever. So if you need to take like a bathroom break or anything, like this is like the prime time in the run to do it. I think my past 2 or 3 PBs, I actually just get up to go to the bathroom here. And I'm actually going to go up to get a drink, so I'll be right back.
Reflected in the Mirror of Erised were Harry's parents, James and Lily Potter. Harry stared hungrily back as though hoping to fall right through the glass and reach them. He was startled when a voice sounded behind him. Harry turned slowly about. So you, like hundreds before you, have discovered the delights of the Mirror of Erised, said Professor Dumbledore. He went on to explain that the mirror showed nothing more or nothing less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts. But that it would be
I've like, for this book cutscene, I've gotten up when the storybook itself starts, gone to the bathroom for like about like 45 seconds, come back, and the cutscene's still not done. So you have a lot of time here.
Thought Harry.
All right. So
Harry! She needs our... Come on, Harry.
So next is the troll section of the game. If you like face the camera away, like if you're running towards the camera, the game lags less, and you can actually reach the doorway before Ron does. I don't know if it actually saves time, but it sounds like it does. Look at that pretty face.
Harry, you distract the
troll and I'll find Hermione.
So you can't actually skip any of that dialogue. This section's basically an auto-scroller. You just run away from the troll and don't fall into things. Something to note is that red beans haven't been part of the run for quite a long time. Like, the yellow and green beans not being needed is a very recent development that I found. But it's been several years since red beans have been needed. Doesn't actually matter, so... This is honestly kind of a boring section, because it is just like, it's a good like minute of just running away from the troll. It's at least easier than like the PC version section of this. But again, it's really like, it's just this. Alright, so shoutouts to the girls' bathroom being really, really far away in this like secluded area of the castle. Alright. So in this section, you just have to stall long enough for Ron to hit the troll with the club.
Harry, I'll try to charm the troll's club so it bashes him on the head. Use your knockback.
So you can tell who the troll is going to throw something at by where he's looking. If he looks directly at you, then obviously he's going to throw the pipe or whatever at you. If he looks kind of to the left, he's going to throw it to Ron. If he throws it at you and you miss, then you take damage, but at least like you're not losing any time. If he hits Ron, then Ron takes longer to drop the club on his head, so it's just something to keep an eye on as to where the troll is looking. Other than that, it's really not hard to hit all the pieces. So there he's like looking at me, and then he's going to look at me. He's going to throw it at me again, and I missed, but I got it anyway. He's again throwing it at me. Now he's going to throw it at Ron. And then he's going to throw it at me again. And he's going to throw it at Ron. And he was going to again, but that entire section is really quick, as long as Ron doesn't get hit at all. And that's 25 house points, and from there you should have 300. And then after that is the Quidditch match with Ravenclaw.
Mr. Griffin, I read we're all...
Best dialogue here.
Hagrid,
You mean Fluffy?
Fluffy.
The eye boy off a Greek chappie I met in the pub last year. I lent him a Dumbledore to guard the...
Guard the...
Don't act. You forget.
Who's Nicholas?
Never you mind.
You better get going.
This is not relevant to the speedrun at all, but at AGDQ, when I showed Nitroff how that dialogue is just, Hagrid, you mean Fluffy? Fluffy? Nitroff like lost his shit, because I guess it's really funny. I think it's the best like section of like dialogue skipping in the run, but not relevant to the speedrun whatsoever. Just funny little anecdote. So this is just more Quidditch. This one's a little harder than Hufflepuff, just because following the snitch is a bit harder now. The path for it is a bit more erratic, but again, it's a set pattern. You'll learn it just by getting it. Also note, this is different from the Ravenclaw match in any percent that you do in the free play mode. So muscle memory you have from any percent really kind of won't apply here. Just something to keep in mind. yeah, I completely missed it.
Here comes a bludger! Ooh. Oh, that was close! Potter's going for it!
You could have done a quick grab there, but I didn't remember whether or not it was possible. And, yep, that's Quidditch with Ravenclaw. So next up is Diagon Alley. Just kind of the most disgusting part of the run. Alright, so.
I got some. We need to make the tonic. So you and I.
If you properly time cutting the dialogue here, you can make Hagrid say I'm off to the leak. Which is, you know, way more important than saving time. So we're going to go for it.
We need 3. Go to Grim. I'm off to the leak.
Oh, I did it too early. Alright, so you just run forward here. You can kind of minimize lag, but you have to wait for the girl to go through that door anyway. I've kind of tried to beat her to it, and I've never gotten it. Like, I've gotten things that are kind of similar. So this is Gringotts. This is the section of 100% that generally turns people off from running 100%. I'm not gonna bullshit you. This sucks. This is really, really brutal. It's not hard. It's completely consistent. The patterns are always the same. So when you memorize it, it's really not something that I would consider difficult. That being said, if you make even one mistake, you can lose several minutes. So if you want to learn 100%, you have to accept that, and you have to, like, really, really practice this. My first run of 100%, I lost 8 minutes in this section because I didn't practice it enough. Like, this is probably terrifying you, like me saying this. And if you're getting turned off by hearing this, I don't entirely blame you. But it's really not that bad when you learn it. And I think the rest of the run is really cool and kind of makes up for it. But I do want you to realize that any horror stories you've heard about Gringotts, yes, this section sucks. This is the most terrifying section of the run. Alright, so first thing you can do is, like, you can go to the left and it skips talking to that goblin there. Alright, so the first part of this is that before you're even able to go into any of the vaults, you have to talk to a goblin, and then you have to pick up paperwork for some reason, because an 11-year-old has paperwork. And each of the paperwork is like this split, like, set path that you collect it in. The floor is really slippery. It's kind of gross. The movement here kind of sucks. You can lose a lot of time on collecting paperwork. If you want, like, really good, like, if you want a video example of, like, good paperwork movement, because I'm not really that great at the paperwork movement, again, watch Wingo. Wingo's record, he probably has the best, like, Gringotts paperwork movement of any runner, so yeah.
If you wish to visit, move swift.
So yeah, if you go, like, too quickly, you can, like, veer off like that. Alright, I'm gonna explain how the vault sections work before I pick up this last paperwork, just because it's a bunch of cutscenes and I can't pause. So the way the Gringotts Vaults work is that you have to collect a certain number of coins, and then when you collect a certain amount, you pass, and you're able to, go on to the next section. What makes this so annoying in 100%, because in any percent, this section is really not that bad. It's basically like 9 minutes of auto-scroller. What makes this really annoying in 100% is that there are also what they call bonus gems. And the bonus gems only appear if you collect all of, like, the coins in a certain section. And the game will tell you in, like, the left corner, like, there'll be, like, a little, like, gem icon. And that's, like, if you collect all the coins in this part bonus gems will appear. And you have to collect every single bonus gem in each of the sections. There's 65 bonus gems in the Gringotts section. There's 55 in Sickle, and there's 65 in Galleon. If you get all of them in each of the sections, you get a wizard card. If you miss even one, so if I get 64 out of 65, you do not get the wizard card. So you need to get every single one of them, and you only have one shot at each of them. And if you accidentally leave the minigame, like if you pass like the coin collecting part, but you miss the bonus gems and you accidentally leave, you can't go back in and you just kill the run there. So like this is something that you really, really need to practice. And if you miss any of the gems, you have to go through the entire minigame because there's no like really fast save point right before them. So really, like I want to emphasize, you need to practice this if you want to get good times. Like it's if you get this down, then it's a lot of time you can save. But if you mess any of it up, it's a lot of time you can lose. But the patterns are consistent. I'll kind of try to explain how I go about it. If I miss any of them, because it's been a couple of days since I did this, so I might be a little rusty. If I mess up any of the bonus gems, I'm just gonna keep going. I have a save file of right after Gringotts that has all the wizard cards. Just because I don't think anybody wants to sit here and watch me do this over and over and over. So if I mess this up, if you want to see how it's properly done, just watch my run, watch Whip's run, and you'll see like how it's supposed to be actually done. But yeah. All right. So thankfully, like, Gringotts is really not that difficult to get all the bonus gems in. So the really difficult bonus gems are the ones where you kind of like do a loop. The momentum on this minecart is eerily accurate to physics, and that can kind of be annoying. Like I'll kind of show you the setup I do. Yeah, you also want to dodge these like wooden planks because if you hit them, you like fly out of control and you like lose coins and shit. Alright, so something I want to say is that there's two ways to reliably set up like the loop. What Whip does and what a lot of other people do is that they'll like kind of swing in the opposite direction, and then they'll like before the loop starts they'll go towards the loop, and then like they can carry the momentum through the loop. That is one way to do it. The way I figured out how to do it myself was I kind of like start like I'll turn the minecart to a point where I'm like more than 90 degrees up. So like say like this is straight. So I'll like turn like to be like this, and then from there I'll hold exit, which locks the minecart in place, and then when the loop starts I'll just let go and start slowly turning. That's the way I do it. Either of them works. Just find whatever works for you. Aside from like missing a bonus gem, this is completely an auto scroller, so like whatever method is consistent for you, do it. You're not losing any time or saving any time over anybody aside from just missing a gem. But yeah, like stuff like that. The one thing, if you use my method, if you end up like here or like lower, so like if this is like the minecart being like completely centered as it is like when it starts, and then you like turn like this, so like Harry's like like on his side. If you are here or like lower, you will not be able to get any momentum to turn for the loop, and that's like the biggest problem I was hitting when I was first learning this. So if you do my method where you like turn a bit and then lock in place until the loop starts, make sure you're like more than 90 degrees. I would argue you want to be close to like 180, so like between 90 and 180, which should probably be like, you know, like 100 degrees or something. Like, yeah, you just want to be like diagonal like that. Thankfully, these bonus gems, where they're just like along the line like this, are easy. So, this is what I'm talking about. I think those are the only two loops in Gringotts, so the rest of this should be pretty straightforward. You might be able to just hold X here and you'll get it, but... Alright, so you see I have 65 coins. So as long as the 3 coins on the right side are lit up, then you've passed. Yeah. If you do fail, make sure that when he asks if you want to try again, you're like holding left so that you hit yes. Because if you accidentally mash out of no, then you will not be able to get this card. Alright. So, again, this is more paperwork collecting. So when that one starts, I still mess this up. You want to hold R2, it's just less camera movement. But yeah, again, if you want to see like good paperwork movement, I would recommend watching Wingo. Alright, so Sickle is, in my opinion, the hardest of the 3. Mostly because there is a loop at the very end that comes at you really quickly. Really, the only recommendation I have for this is just memorize it. Like Knut and Galleon you can kind of react to. Sickle, I really think you need to memorize this. This one's pretty gross. Alright, so the first bonus gem section is coming up here. It's a really slow loop. So I kind of just line up like this. This. Okay, so this section, the last like big loop is about to come up. So you see here, after all those bonus gems, there's a loop here where you turn to the left. Immediately after that is going to be the loop with the bonus gems, and it's going to turn in the opposite direction, so it's going to turn to the right. So when I get to this loop, I actually like to set up the diagonal angle here. So we'll see if I get this, because you can get enough coins without those. This might be too far. Oh no, I got it. What the? I can't believe I got that actually. So you just hold X here and you should have it. Yeah, that worked out. Cool. Yeah. That last loop is just like the biggest hiccup of Sickle. If you can get that down, then you're pretty okay, usually.
Where's he got?
Alright, and then next up is the last one, which is Galleon. Galleon, I think, on a whole, is easier than Sickle, but it's got one section that can kind of trip you up.
Excellent. If you wish.
Alright, and then again, more paperwork. Alright. So, Galleon, I believe, has 2 loops that are really not that difficult, as long as you just, like, kind of are able to anticipate things. The first loop is kind of one of those ones where it does the loop, and then the bonus gems are a little delayed, so that's where the diagonal thing that I do kind of helps. There's a loop at the end where the bonus gems are really quickly afterwards, so you don't even have to set up the diagonal. The part about Galleon that's hard is that there's a section after like the first like loop of bonus gems where it's a group of like coins where it's like left, right, left. And in most cases when there's something like this, as long as you just maintain center, you get all of them. This one is not like that. If you maintain center, there's a good chance you'll miss one of them. So that one you kind of want to just really quickly like weave left, right, left on them, and that's like really the only thing you have to watch out for on Galleon. The rest of it's pretty straightforward. We'll see if I can get it here. If not, like I said, I have a save file of after all of this.
Ah, the other goblin steering at the cross button. Be careful, mate. Get a bonus.
Another thing you can do, actually one thing about it to practice Gringotts, is if you already run any percent, when you get to the Gringotts section, you can just practice getting the bonus gems and just intentionally miss one. So you get the movement down, but you also don't lose time for getting them all. It's just something Nitroff recommended to me. So if you think that would help you practice it, then definitely go for it. But what I did is I just set a save file to be right before Gringotts and just practice them. Oh, this is bad. That shouldn't have worked. I definitely should not have had enough momentum to get those. So, like, that was a good example of a really bad angle. Like, I was not up enough for that. Like, I honestly think I got really lucky there. Alright. So this is going to be the section that has, like, the ones that you want to, like, swing for. So if you stay centered there, then there's a chance that you can miss them. So just be careful for that. Yeah, that's what happens if you... So yeah, just be careful about that. That loop's thankfully very easy, and then you should be good from here. And that's every bonus gem, and I didn't have to load a file. I might have made that look easier than it is, and like really when you get it down, it's really not that bad. A lot of 100% runners will tell you that it's really not that bad when you learn it, and this is true. Like, I was really terrified of Gringotts, and it almost made me not learn this category. But when you get it down, it's really not bad, but I will not sugarcoat it. This entire section is very terrifying. Like, you can and probably will kill runs to this section, and it's just something you have to come to terms with and just, like, practice it, practice it, practice it, and with enough practice, you will get it down. Like, I want to say I spent a long time practicing Gringotts. But yeah, this is, like, that's the most terrifying part of the run done. Once you're out of Galleons, you're honestly in the clear. Like, there's a couple stuff at the end that's a little gross, but nothing as bad as Gringotts. So once you're here, you're good. So from here, you want to like go up this way to avoid talking to this goblin. And you're out of the hellhole. And into the next hellhole. Alright. So first off, at this point, you should have 15 wizard cards. The last two are, there's one in the Forbidden Forest, and then there's the Dumbledore wizard card that you get from the Blue Portrait. So if you have 15 after Gringotts, you're good. So yeah. So from here, you do the 3 shop minigames. The first one is the Magical Menagerie with the Toadwarts. This one has a bit of RNG to it. Basically, you have to find the toad 3 times. He's hidden in the crates. Where he shows up is random, but you can see if he's on the first floor before it starts. Alright, so I didn't see any of the crates shake before the minigame started, which means he's probably on the second floor. The two things of note are, if you break too many crates, the shopkeeper gets angry and you have to start over, so try not to do that. If the toad goes to the second floor, after you find him, the next phase is guaranteed to be on the first floor. So if you get unlucky and he is upstairs, find him, hit him, and then just immediately go downstairs and you'll find him. If he's on the first floor, he can show up on the first floor again, which is really good luck. But this is pretty RNG heavy. Oh, that was a weird pause buffer. Alright, yeah, I didn't see him down here, so he's probably up here. Maybe. Yeah, he's all the way in the back, so this is the worst RNG. And sometimes he will move really quickly and you can't hit him before he hides under another crate. But yeah, so now he's guaranteed to be down here. That's like the best crate he can be in. And then kind of just see if he shows up here again. And that was good. So it was just the first one was bad. But basically just try not to get frazzled there and just kind of like calmly look for him. Like if you panic and just start shooting everywhere, then you'll mess things up, obviously. But yeah, there's really not too much you can do about that, and just hope you get good RNG. So this is Ollivanders, which is the peacock. This part sucks. So you have to chase the peacock and you have to be like on his ass for long enough to grab a feather from him. And you can't use your wand, because for whatever reason it's really dangerous to use a wand on a peacock. I don't know how magic works. The peacock moves in really erratic ways. I've been told it's predictable and he has patterns that you can learn just by like getting used to it. I have yet to get used to it. But yeah, this section just kind of blows, honestly. We'll see how it goes. It does have really good music though. This is one of my favorite songs in the game. If you've played the PC version of Harry Potter, you will recognize this as the theme song for the gnomes. But yeah, also where the peacock starts is random. But yeah, you kind of just like chase him and like try to get close to him. You can kind of like get used to like how he moves, and it can kind of predict where he's gonna go next, but sometimes he'll just go in a completely crazy direction. Alright, so this has been really good. I've never had it go that well. That might actually be better than my PB, which is my best peacock. So yeah, like that's generally like a best case scenario. I've lost 30 seconds there, I've lost a minute there. Like you, as you play the game, you kind of learn the peacock's movement, and that helps it a little bit. Sometimes you'll get screwed over, but yeah, so my past like 3 peacocks have been really good though, so. But yeah, that's not an easy section. Alright, so the last one is Elop's Owl Emporium. Thankfully, this one is completely consistent and like really, really easy. So once you're here, you're like pretty good.
Excellent. My eagle, his treats are all. Use the once he's.
This is also a really good song. Alright, so this is basically just you do Wingardium Leviosa 3 times to feed him peanuts or something.
Wingardium Leviosa.
So basically, as long as you like stay low to the ground here, the owls will never eat the peanut. If you're a little slow, or if you like hold it too high up, they can eat the peanut, but it generally doesn't happen. Like I said, this section's pretty consistent, which is a nice trade-off from Toad and Peacock. Yeah, that's... So here... So something I've heard but never tried, and I'm not going to try it now, is if you drop the feather on like the little like counter there, you can soft lock because you're locked in the room, but you also can't pick up the feather. So kind of just wait till you're over the counter and then drop it. Again, I don't know how true that is, but I've been told that, and I've never bothered trying to try it. So, but yeah, that's the last of Diagon Alley. So from here you, yeah.
Well done.
And now is another storybook cutscene, and this is gonna take us to, well, actually there's this cutscene and then the storybook cutscene, and then this will take us to the Forbidden Forest.
We've done. Oh, I'm glad he'll want to go.
Harry, Ron, and Hermione spent most of their free time in Hagrid's hut.
So there's a chance that you can get like a hard lock here where the cutscene just freezes. We'll see if it happens here.
Harry carried Norbert up to the tallest tower. Ron's
But it's
brother
like random
Charlie
if it does.
arranged to collect the dragon from the tower and return him to Romania. Once Norbert had been freed, however, Malfoy sprang his trap. Harry was caught by Professor McGonagall. For his detention, Harry was to make his way into the Forbidden Forest and search for a wounded unicorn.
Okay, so I didn't get it. I did get that once in a run where like it just locks there on that last page.
It should show. Be careful. I better go.
I got that, and I just like impulsively did what I call the Spyro 3 strat, where when the cutscene locks like that, I just opened the disc tray and closed it immediately, and it fixed it and loaded the cutscene. So if that happens, you can just do that. I mean, I guess there's like the semantics of like disc tray manipulation, but since it's solely for the sake of fixing a hard lock, I don't think it should be a problem. My run got verified with it, so like whatever. Yeah. So yeah, this is the Forbidden Forest. A lot of this is really similar to any percent except for like the last part of it. So you kind of just come here. There's an Incendio wall. Oh, that's not Incendio.
Incendio!
Oh, I tried to do Fast Incendio and completely messed it up. So, well, I did that completely wrong. So after you break the Incendio wall, you come up here, you fully charge a Defendo. That was fully charged and it didn't work. I don't understand. So you come up here, fully charge a Flipendo, and breaks down this tree trunk. And then you can kind of just do some movement there. So, next up is Bridge Skip. I actually just recently learned this, so we'll see if I can get it down quickly. If you do this, it saves, I think, like 12-15 seconds or something. If you're not comfortable with it, you can just do Incendio in the bushes here. It really doesn't lose too much time. But if I remember correctly, you come up here, kind of like line up, so like, Harry's like a little bit off the ledge like this, so you see like his right foot is just starting to go off the ledge, and then you kind of like, okay, so the bush is really large. How large it is random. This sucks. Sometimes it's really small and it's really easy to see. This time it decided to be huge as shit, but like, so you kind of see like there's like a tree trunk, and then like it just turns into like foliage and stuff. You kind of want to like line it up like this. It's so much easier to see when you can actually see. So we'll see if this works. And then from here you hold forward, and then when Harry jumps you want to change to diagonal upright, and I do this all on D-pad. If you do it right, Harry will grab like the edge of the tree, and then you kind of like shift the camera and then do like a back and like back right, possibly depending on like where the camera is. I'm really, really bad at explaining this. Redneck does a very good tutorial on this, so you can find that as well. Let's see. Yeah, okay, I messed it up. But like that's wow, that was wild. All right, so that was most of it was right. I just didn't get the part at the end where the bridge where you don't get hurt. If you do it right, then Harry just lands on the bridge and takes no damage. So all right, that was too far out. You don't want to go too far off of this ledge or Harry will fall like that. So we'll try this again. Yeah. You know, I got this 2 runs in a row and suddenly I feel like I'm the best at it, but I'm not. Again, it's a lot easier to see when you can like actually see how this works. Yeah, no, that was really bad. Like I didn't move the camera enough, I feel. So again. So I kind of line up like this. Right, yeah. It's really hard to set up with the bush like this. I undershot the jump, but I think that might have worked if I had gotten it. Yeah. Naturally, my tutorials where I can't do this. Yeah, that was... I'll give it a few more tries, and if I can't get it, I'll just do the Incendio. But this shouldn't be too bad. There we go. So yeah, if you do it properly, then you just land here, and then you can just run forward like this. If you took a lot of damage, you can just eat chocolate frogs. You just follow the silver trail of unicorn blood. Alright, so these are the fire crabs, or turtles. I don't know why they're called fire crabs. So you kind of lock on it like this, and then you wait for it to fire out of its ass, and then you just flipendo it 3 times. And the rest of the Forbidden Forest is pretty straightforward until you have to detour for the wizard card, and even that's pretty straightforward. You just have to remember to do it.
I doubt. Don't get lost.
It's another Incendio wall. And then here you can grab some chocolate frogs here. In any percent you wouldn't grab these, because in any percent after this is when you do dungeon, because you sequence break the entire game. In 100% you do it like this, so it doesn't hurt to grab those frogs if you're low on health. So a second fire crab. Just get that if you want to.
I see you. There's some.
Alright. So this is like the last section. And this is where it splits off from any percent. So here there's this path to the left, and then this path to the right. Path to the left is the story path. For the love of God, do not go there until you've done this way, because once you go up there, you leave the Forbidden Forest and you can never go back. And there is a wizard card this way, so you really, really need to remember to go this way. And then this is another fire crab turtle thing. More frogs if you need them. Come up here and you can just immediately flipendo the wizard card, and it kind of like homes in on you, which I find interesting because the other one you have to shoot down doesn't. But from there you can just head back towards the path. And then there's another Incendio skip here. This one is a lot easier to do than the bridge skip. So even if you're struggling with the bridge skip, I would recommend doing this. It's really, really easy and saves a good amount of time. So you kind of like line up here, you walk diagonally, and if you're getting like this thing where Harry's like not clipping into the wall, you just have to adjust the camera a little bit. But if you do it right, then Harry just proxies up like that. But if you're getting the thing where he's kind of like popping back out constantly, then just kind of like adjust the camera until you get it. But really, it's not that hard. You just go up to the wall, you hold just diagonal upright. I do it on analog. I don't know if it's any better on D-pad, but just do that, and then you just adjust the camera until Harry goes into the wall, and then he clips into it, and he just proxies up to the top. So, and you have 16 wizard cards at this point, and you're good to go. So that's the end of the Forbidden Forest. Most hilarious cutscene ever, where it's just like a bunch of like camera changes where it just zooms in on their faces and Harry just kind of like passes out. All in low poly PS1 graphics.
In the nick of time by the centaur Firenze and rode on his back to safety. Firenze explained the unicorn blood had the power to keep someone alive who was an inch from death. Harry realized that the hooded figure he'd seen in the clearing was none other than he who must not be named, Lord Voldemort.
Alright, so this is the first part. This is your introduction to the flute, which will be used when you go to Fluffy. Alright.
Some, in fact, try it out.
Alright, so the way the flute works is that you have to hit triangle, circle, square, X in that order. And you can do it like really quickly. And every time you do it successfully, the animal, like here it's an owl, later on it'll be Fluffy, falls more and more asleep. If you mess it up at all, then they wake back up. So there's a couple ways you can do it really quickly. What I do is like I kind of put my thumb, I put my right thumb on triangle and circle, and then I kind of like brush them like this, and then I use my left thumb to just do, hold on, square and X like this. That's how I learned it. There's other methods you can do it. Just find whatever works for you that goes pretty quickly. Actually, no, I do fingers for square and X, my bad. So triangle and circle, I use one thumb, and then I use my middle finger on square, and then my index finger on X. But if you have a method that works for you, then go for it. But yeah, if you do it right, it just looks like that. If you mess it up, it's not the biggest deal. Just don't like panic and like constantly mash. Like I mess it up sometimes, and usually what I do is I'll like just slow down a little bit, and like I'll still do the same thing but just at a slower pace. Like the worst thing you can do there really is panic. Alright. So they're going off to the upper castle. So this is where we're going to talk to the blue portrait and get the last wizard card. So here you just detour back this way. Come up over here.
Cat weasel.
And then this is the final wizard card. And here you should have 17 wizard cards. You have 30 more points, and you should have 270 before this, so this will give you 300 house points. And then you should have all gold wings for Quidditch practice because you get 75 points for doing that. And at that point, you just have to finish the game. And also, ideally, you've probably looked at Folio Magi by this point. If you haven't, then I would highly recommend going to the Gryffindor Common Room. But by this point, you've had plenty of opportunities to look at Folio Magi, so that should not be an issue at this point. But here, you're basically just running back to the castle. It's more or less just like 2 minutes of just running. That's not correct. Here, and then Hogwarts Entrance Hall, and then again it's still more running beyond this point. Enter Forbidden Corridor. And then I believe you can like skip dialogue coming up here, but it doesn't really save a lot of time to do so, so you can also just not. But it's like something like you can walk around them or something.
Harry.
And now we're in the endgame.
Meanwhile, the house.
So this is the last House Point Hourglass cutscene.
Filling up. Ravenclaw. Hufflepuff. Slytherin. Gryffindor. Slytherin are in the lead on house points. The race for the House Cup is heating up.
Alright. So Fluffy is just like the owl, but 3 times. So you want to go from right to left in terms of putting the heads to sleep. Also, look how terrifying this thing is.
Only Hagrid. Of course. Try and...
So you run up to him and he's going to immediately pounce at you. You can't avoid that, so you just do this. And then for this next section, you want to be like on his paw. And don't mess it up like I am. And then if you were quick enough to start this... I am really bad at playing the flute, by the way. I played the saxophone, so I don't know how to play the flute. But yeah, if you like stand at his like left paw for the middle head, then when you start the left head, he should not pounce at you. I think the specific thing is just like, as long as you start playing the flute before he's programmed to like attack you, he won't attack you. So this dialogue skip,
I know what... Oh, I'm so glad.
you want to wait for Ron to say, "Oh, I'm so," before you dialogue skip. If you don't, you'll be stuck in this position for a few seconds. So Devil's Snare, this is, you have to fully charge Flipendo the vines in a certain order. The order is just the way they glow. And it's the fastest to do with the reticle by pressing triangle. So, don't run into it like that. That's stupid. That was not a fully charged Flipendo, I guess. So, reticle. And the pattern is the same every time, so you can also just do it like this. Alright, so when you're on this last one, you want to release it, and then you want to stand in like a certain position near the door, and the big tentacle will come out of the center, and then the way to quickly go through it is that you want to hit it with not quite fully charged Flipendos. So it's like you release it a little bit before the Jinx turns white, and like if you release it Harry would yell Flipendo. At that like nearly fully charged range, the game still thinks it's fully charged, so it will hit the Devil's Snare for like maximum damage, and it will put it in enough hit stun, like just enough time for you to do another nearly fully charged one, and you can just constantly just hit the Devil's Snare really quickly. If you are too late or too far away from it, then you might the Snare might try to attack you. If you see it's going to attack you, just back up. But yeah, this is kind of just like you just practice it and get consistent with it, really. And even I still mess it up sometimes. So, oh, well, that didn't work. So let's just knock it out here. So I kind of like stand here. And then I do R1 to lock onto it. Or it's already locked on. So like that. Alright, I was a little late there. Okay. So there's like a specific position you can stand in before you do in the Incendio. And if you stand in that specific spot, when you kill the Devil's Snare, there's a chance that when Ron and Hermione are running to the door, they'll push you into the door and you'll just automatically go into the next section. It saves a couple of seconds. I don't know the specific setup for it. I don't think it's like consistent. If it is, it's like kind of precise. I don't even think like Wingo gets it in his PV or anything. But I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to try it. But it saves a few seconds if you get it. So this starts with square. I don't even bother with fast Incendio here because it's so laggy. And that's Devil's Snare. But yeah, if you were like standing further away, there's a chance that Hermione could push you into the doorway, and then you just don't have to run back this way. And it's like probably like 3-5 seconds maybe, if that. So Winged Keys, this is basically just Quidditch again.
Good luck, Harry.
Yeah, this is basically just Quidditch again. Then I believe you can get a quick catch on the flying key, where you just catch it immediately, but it's a little precise, I believe. So I'll try it, I guess. Yeah, I missed it. Alright, so the next section is chess, and the room leading up to it is pretty laggy. So if you kind of just look at the camera by the side, you can save a little bit on lag like this. Or not like that, but if you just like do this, then it becomes less laggy. And you can tell, like, if you just like look the camera from behind the whole time, then like Ron gets like really far ahead of you. Shout out to the fact that if you do it that quickly, Ron's just immediately on the ground after you just saw him.
It's up to you now.
Alright, so there's 3 chessboards for this section, and as long as you know the patterns, this is completely an auto-scroller for the most part. Like, you can save some time on just, like, moving through the pattern, like, moving through the path really quickly. Like, just the direction you're supposed to go. But basically, this comes down to just knowing where you're supposed to step on. And like there's a guide for it on SRCom, but I'm also just going to tell you here now. It's really easy to memorize. So for the first one, you start on the right one here, you go up 2, and then you go diagonal down left. So if you kind of envision it, it's kind of like the left half of an arrow. So you go up, If you accidentally step on the left, then just start with a diagonal up right. But, you know, start on the right, go up 2 and down left 1. Alright. I think my audio is a little desynced, so I'm going to reset this really quickly. Right there. And audio will be really important for the Voldemort fight, so yeah, up 2 and then diagonal down left 1, and then it should be good. Alright. So next up, this one is really easy to remember because it is just the letter N. So you go up, so you start on the left, and then you go up, diagonal down right, and then up. So you just make an N. So up. And then diagonal down right. So the third phase is the only one that, as far as I know, if you step on the wrong square to start, you're kind of just screwed. Like the other two, if you step on the wrong square accidentally to start it, you can kind of like flex it and make it work anyway. This one, you start on the left square, so the white one, and if you start on the right accidentally, like I did once, you kind of just lose like 30 seconds or something. So don't do that. But this one is pretty easy to remember also. You start on the left, and then you go diagonal up left all the way to the wall. So it's 3 diagonal up lefts, like this. This is really long, so I'm just going to play it. So you go diagonal up left all the way to the wall, and then you go immediately back diagonal down right for 1 spot, and then you go down. And then now you're at this wall, you go diagonal down right. So basically the square you were just on. And then you could do either diagonal down right or just down. Down is quicker because you just have to do a down input. And that's chess. Alright, so next up is the split that I call Troll 2. So this is really not hard. It personally scares me because when I was younger, this section like terrified me. But the entire premise of this is that they took that section in the book that wasn't in the movie where there's a troll and it's already knocked out. So Harry and Ron are just like, oh, thank God, and then they walk past it. Video game developers decided, no, we need to make this part of the game. So you walk in, the troll is waking up, but it's still kind of like half asleep. So you have to charm like all of the objects out of the way with Wingardium Leviosa, and you have to be quiet about it. If you drop any of them from like a really high height, then the troll wakes up and you die. If you leave any of them behind, then the troll wakes up and you die. If you take too long, the troll wakes up and you die. It's really not that hard. It just kind of personally scares me, but it's really not bad. Also, the troll starts moving at like a random time, so sometimes he takes a while, and then like you'll lose a couple seconds, but you'll be really safe. And sometimes he'll start moving like pretty quickly, and it saves time, but it's also scarier. So, you know, we'll see what I get. I usually get slow troll. There is one little trick you can do at the end of this to save like 5 seconds, though, so I will explain that.
Hang on.
And it's like a little terrifying, but it's really not that hard to do. Alright, I got slow troll again. But yeah, you want to drop them like really close to the ground like that. If you drop them from too high up, then the troll will wake up, and you will 100% die. Like, there is no way to avoid it. The game actually warps you to like the center of the room, and it literally just like plays a cutscene where you die. Like, yeah, but all of this is like it's pretty straightforward. It just can be a little tense. Just, I don't know, younger me just really didn't like this section, so adult me doesn't particularly care for it. Alright, so this last one, this chair here, there's a little trick you can do. So you Wingardium Leviosa, get it out of the way here. And then if you jump over here, and then immediately turn around like the camera, and do Wingardium Leviosa on it again, and you hold Wingardium Leviosa until the troll is about to fall into the hole. And if you do it correctly, then the two cutscenes overlap, and you save a little bit of time, where normally you would have to watch the whole cutscene of the troll like falling into the floor. But the Wingardium Leviosa ending overrides that, and you regain control of Harry sooner. But be careful, because if you do mess it up and you drop the chair too early, like if the chair hits the ground before the troll falls into the hole, the troll will wake up and you will die. So this is really not difficult, but just make sure your timing for it is good. So just like this. And then you can do it earlier than that, but that's like just kind of safe.
That was a cut.
And that is the troll. Hermione tells you that's a close one, as she did absolutely fucking nothing. And then the next part is the potion, which is just a game of keeping track of where the knight is.
Looks like you'll have to
So you have to choose the cup that has the black knight in it. And I believe this is random, but it's not hard to follow. He's in the right cup for me. He might be in the center or left for you, depending on what happens. There's certain movement you can do to make it so that the troll, the knight makes himself vulnerable quickly. And you just hit him with 2 fully charged knockback jinxes, and then you're good to go. If you pick the wrong cup, you have to do this all again. And yeah, it's not hard. So after you drink the potion, regardless of what you do, after the cutscene plays with Hermione, you're gonna be in the same spot, so you can kind of just stand here.
Great, Harry. I'm going to.
And then just run forward. All right. So coming up is the fight with Voldemort, and we are going to do a skip called Clody Skip, and you can grab those chocolate frogs if you need them. So the skip's kind of gross, but what it does is what you're supposed to do here is that you fight 2 waves of knights, and then you fight a third like really big knight, and it's like a mini boss fight. But with like the proper positioning, you can just jump straight to the other side and skip right into the Voldemort fight. This trick is kind of gross. There is a consistent setup that is a little slower, but I do it because it's consistent. So it involves pause buffering, which is really not hard. If you have any experience with Fire Seed Skip in any percent, then you'll know how to pause buffer. If not, I'll explain it a little bit. But there is also the YOLO strat, which is the original strat where you kind of just line up and pray it works. I'll try and show both, but I'm not really good at the YOLO strat. Alright, so to do the pause buffer strat, the moment you walk into the door, you hold diagonal upright on the D-pad. So, and there's a tutorial for this pause buffer strat on SRCom as well. So you do diagonal upright, and you want to pause before that like beam hits the knight that makes it alive. And from here you pause buffer, which you can do by hitting X and start like in rapid succession. So like this. And you do this until you see like a sparkle like that. So the way the sparkles look kind of tell you whether you need to do more pause buffering. This setup to me looks like it's okay, from here I can just run forward and then pause before Harry makes the jump. If it's kind of in a spot where the sparkles are kind of like scattered, then you want to do 2 more pause buffers of inputting up left. So you would hold up left on the D-pad and then just immediately X start in rapid succession. And there's like image guides on the guide on SRCom that show you like what the 2 ideal ones look like. But when it looks like this, you should be able to just hold forward. And we'll see if it works. So you hold forward until right before Harry's about to jump. And you pause buffer until he starts a jump. Okay, so you saw he crouched down, so he's about to start jumping. From here, you do 4 pause buffers forward. And then after the 4th one, you hold R2, still holding forward, and you do another, like, pause buffer. And then if I did this all right, he should grab the ledge. And I did. So that's the pause buffer strat. I'll do the YOLO strat now. So this one, I'm just going to get this knight out of the way just to make it a little easier. So I'm really bad at the YOLO strat, but the idea is, and you want to do this with D-pad because you need an absolutely straight line. There's the Wiggenweld potion on the other side. You kind of want to line up so that Harry's like right side of his head is like kind of looks like it's touching the Wiggenweld potion, and then you kind of just pray. So this looks like a kind of okay setup. Yeah, but like that can happen. But yeah, it's like, let's see if this might work. Yeah, no, I'm the wrong person to ask for a tutorial on how to do the YOLO strat because I'm really bad at it, as you can see here. Like, so the YOLO strat, which is this is one that a lot of like top runners do, just because the consistent strat wasn't known until pretty recently. It is faster because it requires no pause buffering, but in my opinion, the consistency of the pause buffering strat to me is worth like the maybe 10 seconds you lose if you do the pause buffer really quickly. So personal opinion, I think the pause buffer is worth learning. But this is a good example of what happens when Clody goes wrong. I would still recommend learning the YOLO strat. That way, if something goes wrong, you don't just kill the run there. Because if you die there, you go all the way back to the beginning of this. Well, not the whole chamber, but you go like to here. And you have to attempt it again. And it's like a minute and a half of time loss if you die. So it's good to know both strats. I honestly should get better at the YOLO strat. Because it is a nice backup. But I do think the consistent strat is very useful. So I'm going to do the consistent strat again, and we'll see. And, like, you'll see, like, it without me explaining it. Alright, so you see how this goes.
I wondered whether you're far too in.
Alright, so here they're a bit scattered. So here you want to do 2 up left buffered inputs. And then run forward. 2, 3, 4, and this should work. Yep. So, like I said, this is really consistent if you do it right. Generally, if the pause buffer strat goes wrong, you messed up somewhere. I don't think I've ever done the pause buffer and felt like the mistake wasn't my fault. The only time it really feels like it's your fault is if like the game drops an input on a pause. So at that point you didn't pause buffer. That's the game's fault. Sometimes it just like drops the pause input, but it doesn't happen often. I think the strat's really consistent and you can become really quick at it if you learn it. So I recommend this strat. Other people might not, but this is what I would recommend. It's a lot easier if you're starting out than just kind of like going for it and praying it works. I like this a lot more. So I'm at full health, but if you're not at full health, like if you had to do like the YOLO strat and you're like really low health, I would really recommend grabbing the Wiggenweld potion here. But if not, you can go into Voldemort. I'm gonna reset the GVSB2 one more time, that way the audio's lined up properly, because there's a fast Voldemort strat and it is audio based. So yeah, you go in here and start the fight with Voldemort. Also, the audio is going to be messed up because it's still playing the audio from the previous room, which it doesn't normally if you don't do Clody Skip. Alright. So, the way I do Fast Voldy is here, I run until Harry touches the mirror, and then I immediately start charging a Flipendo. And then, eventually, Voldemort's attack is going to come at Harry, and he's going to turn around and face it, and then it's going to explode, but Harry's out of range of it, because the mirror is just out of range for some reason. And the explosion is going to, like, create some particles. When the particles completely run out, you want to make a very slight step forward to the left and release the Flipendo. And then you'll hear Voldemort grunt, or you'll hear Quirrell grunt. And when you hear, so you want to release the Flipendo and immediately start charging a second one. And then when you hear him grunt, you release the Flipendo and you start charging another one. And you hit him 6 times. And you want to make sure you hit him only 6 times. Because if you hit him a 7th one, which you can do, you'll probably soft lock the fight. Because you'll hit him an extra phase than he's supposed to. And then for some reason that makes him invincible in the next phase, which is hilarious. But don't do that, because that will lose time. And if you have a good run, you'll probably kill it. So yeah, see how this goes. Oh, see if I did this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, cool. That seems really simple and like small, but the way that phase normally goes is he walks around the whole room and kind of like binds you sometimes, and you have to wait for him to stand in front of a pillar, and it just takes forever. And the way that one works is that you kind of lock him in the same spot, and the pillar like never completely despawns, so you just keep hitting him with the same pillar. There's other strats you can do it where the pillow is like on screen or something, I think. But this strat is really easy. You just run up to the mirror, charge a Flipendo. When the particle disappears completely, you just walk forward, launch a Flipendo, and just keep hitting them with him every time he grunts. And this whole thing actually saves like 1 minute, so this is completely worth doing. Like, I highly recommend learning this. You can lose a lot of time for messing it up or just not doing it. So, next phase is really straightforward. You just have to hit the mirror with 2 fully charged Flipendos, and then you have a phase where he's like here, so you can't hit him, so you just dodge his shots, and then you have to hit him 4 times here. You can, okay, if you do it right, you can like add a charge early. I got it wrong both times. It just saves like a little bit of time. So that's the second hit. But yeah, you can't do anything here to hit him. So this will be the 3rd hit. But yeah, if you preemptively add a Flipendo early, then you can hit him really quickly. Alright, so there's something I didn't get here, and it's very good I didn't, because it would be a run killer. Sometimes, I don't know the exact cause, but I have like ideas, but sometimes when you get to this part, Voldemort just kind of like glows, and it's called Voldirave because like it's just like flashing lights and everything. If you get that, then when you kill him, the game soft locks, and in any percent that's fine, because the final hit of Voldemort is the end of the run. In 100%, it's not the end of the run. There's actually something after him. So if you get that and you see that he's like glowing, your only options, as far as I know, are either dying and losing all the time you like that it takes to do Clody and Voldemort, or resetting. So like, I mean, I don't know if there's like a consistent way to get it or if there's any way to avoid it. I've only gotten it like, I've gotten it once in an any percent run where it didn't matter, and then I got it once in practice for this. If you get it, it kind of just sucks. I'm sorry. Like, I don't really know anything about it. So, yeah. But so this section is the last part of the fight. You just have to mash square really quickly, and then every time it says hurt Quirrell by pressing X, you just press X to hurt Quirrell. But yeah, and you do this 4 times. And then you'll get some audio fuck-ups here because of Clody. Sometimes he'll just shout Die Potter, and it's the best. Nah, I didn't get it. So this would be the end of any percent, but if you do everything right in 100%, then you get a Quidditch match versus Slytherin, and that's the actual last part of the run. So if you did everything for 100% properly, then when you get here, the storybook will be slightly different.
Dumbledore smiled.
So we'll see if we get it. We should get it.
Between yourself and Professor Quirrell is a complete secret, he said. So naturally, the whole school knows. The stone had been destroyed, but Harry remained fearful that its loss would not prevent Lord Voldemort's return. Dumbledore nodded, sharing his concern. Nevertheless, Harry, if our battles do no more than slow Voldemort's return, with luck he may never regain his power at all. So the stone's
Alright,
gone,
so
said Ron.
this is the part that's exclusive to 100%. If you had just done any percent, this conversation with Harry and Rod wouldn't happen.
Witches and wizards card from his robes and
So
handed
yeah.
it to Harry.
So we're on the path to
You've got the whole
100%.
set now, Harry,
Also,
Ron said.
Harry has his own wizard
Harry
card, which
was
is
stunned.
honestly kind of cool.
Ron went on to remind Harry
So.
of the Quidditch match that day. Anyway, he said, you haven't got time to sit around in here. We've got Slytherin to beat. Harry,
Alright.
still stunned by Ron's gift, nodded slowly. He just defeated you-know-who, and now he was going to have to help defeat Slytherin.
Alright, so the Slytherin Quidditch match is pretty similar to the previous two. It is kind of deceptively hard though, because it's really, really laggy, and the snitch moves in really erratic ways. So you really want to like make sure you know where the snitch is going, or at least keep an eye on it. You can lose a lot of time here just for having really bad movement.
Gold. Is that the snitch? Potter's seen the snitch? Yeah! The crowd is on its feet. Come on, Harry Potter! Wonderful!
But yeah, the Slytherin Quidditch team is the true villain of the story, not Voldemort.
He's getting closer! Oh, that was close! Excellent! Potter's under fire from the bludgers! Potter is so close! Dodges a speeding bludger! He's getting closer! Here comes a Slytherin Seeker!
Alright, so the opening of it is really not that bad, but here it gets a little erratic. And the snitch catching is also kind of gross because it moves a lot quicker on like on the bar, and then the game is also just lagging, so yeah. Something I do here to kind of just keep my eye on the snitch is to like follow like the sparkle trail that it leaves, but even that's kind of hard because everything in the background is orange and yellow. So yeah, this section is a little rough. And again, all you can really do is like practice it and hope that the game doesn't lag to hell.
Excellent! Here comes a bludger! Harry Potter closes in on the snitch!
Yeah, missed a ring there. Missing a ring I think is like a second to a second and a half, so it's not too bad, but you just don't want to miss too many of them.
This is amazing! Here comes a bludger! Harry Potter closes in on the snitch! A near miss for
then... And catching the snitch is where timing ends, so that is everything, and that should be 100%. So from here, if you want to verify 100%, you can sit through the credits. I'll do it just for the sake of verifying 100%. But the credits are like 7 to 10 minutes long or something, which is like kind of annoying. So if you don't want to, or if you're doing like a bifecta or duofecta of like HP1 and HP2, then you can just like stop here.
Feast alone that night. The great hall was decked out in green and silver to celebrate Slytherin winning the House Cup. When Harry entered, there was a sudden hush. He took a seat between Ron and Hermione, trying to ignore the stares of the other students. The House Cup, announced Dumbledore, is awarded to the team with the most house points.
Yeah, that, like, aside from, you know, me showing 100% on the file at the end, that's Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone 100%, or if you're American like me, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah, I hope this helps anybody who watches it. Like, 100% is a really cool category. I know a lot of people get turned off of it solely because of Gringotts, because Gringotts is pretty bad. But the rest of the run is really not that difficult to get into, and it's really fun because you see a lot more of the game than you do in any percent. Like, they both have their merits, but if you just like playing this game like I do, then 100% is a really fun category. If you can get over the hurdle of Gringotts, this is a really cool run. So, I mean, I definitely recommend trying it if you're interested. And I hope this guide was very useful and explained a lot to anybody who had any questions, especially with the amount of things I found recently in terms of like not needing yellow beans, not needing green beans. Like, that alone shaved like several minutes off of the run. It's probably single-handedly how I was able to get the record so quickly. Like, without that, I don't think I would have beaten Whip. And then just like rerouting, like how you get the blue password, which was only like 9 seconds, but just like minor stuff like that. But yeah, it's a really cool category. I would definitely recommend it to a lot of people. It's pretty short as far as like full completion categories though. Like, generally, like a full completion only being about 2 hours is not bad. So yeah, I'll let the credits roll and then I'll save the game and verify it's 100%. So yeah, just let this completely roll out. But yeah, these credits are like 7 minutes long. I did also get like a couple of raids and hosts towards the end of the guide. Thanks to Hot Coffee and Dale for both of those. They were pretty big. I don't know if I'm going to continue streaming after this though. This was like the only thing I really planned on doing, and it's like 3 a.m. so I probably shouldn't stay up too late. I don't know. I might be able to keep going though. I probably won't play Harry Potter though. I might switch to Crash Twinsanity, because I'm not particularly tired right now, but I should try and sleep. Because I should be starting work again soon, so I don't want to have like a really bad sleep schedule. See how I feel at the end of the credits. 108 when Crash Twinsanity stops being fun, honestly. Like, I don't know, I'm just not feeling NST right now. But yeah, anybody who's inevitably watching like the VOD of this, because I'm gonna put this on SRCom as a guide, obviously. You can just skip to the credits, which is probably like 7 minutes after this or something. Yeah. Yeah, these credits are stupidly long for reasons I can't discern, honestly. Just because, like, why not, I guess. I think it's like the game's like theme music loops like 3 times before it stops, so that was like the second. Shoutouts to the 3 Robinsons and Joe Sourbuts, the voice of Harry Potter in this game. He also voices Harry Potter in Chamber of Secrets and gives the very wonderful line of, "What? Speak up, Hermione." Harry sounds really weird in Chamber of Secrets to me. Like, he sounds fine in Sorcerer's Stone, but Chamber of Secrets, something with the voice direction just went way wrong. Alright, it should be at the end of this loop of the song. Yep. Alright, so...
Finally, let's
Oh yeah,
see who will win
and then you have to watch the
this
last of the
year's Cup.
House Cup thing. Alright. Put my memory card in so I can save.
Ravenclaw. Hufflepuff. Slytherin. Gryffindor. Gryffindor are in the lead on house points.
It's rigged, by the way. Gryffindor always wins. Hashtag justice for Ravenclaw. Alright, so... I'm going to save over the 100% save file I have here. The way you can verify that it's actually working, aside from the fact that I'm saving over a file, is that the in-game time will probably be different because I took my sweet time, as opposed to that's the 100% save file I got during my PB. So yeah. So you can save, and you can actually like hit start select here to just immediately like quit back to the main menu. That's actually a strat in any percent, and it's just kind of useful in general. Yep, 100%. So yeah, it all worked. So yeah, thanks to everybody who watches this guide. I hope it convinces some people to run HP1 PS1 100%. It's a really cool category. It's a really fun speed game. Like, this is a nice, like, relaxing, like, chill speed game. So if you're looking for something like that, this is honestly probably a good game to pick. It's got some spots that are really tense and nerve-wracking, but a lot of it's pretty, like, just, like, nice and relaxing. So yeah, hope this guide is helpful to anybody who wants to learn the category.